The story kicks off with a girl changing her outfit, totally complaining about how uncomfortable that tight skirt is. Right then, Xiaoto pops up rocking her new uniform, looking super shy, and asks Yizhang if wearing those black stockings is really a must. Even though she admits the gear gives her way better mobility than regular clothes, she confesses she feels super embarrassed wearing it. Playing it cool, Yizhang points out that their old threads were absolute garbage for a long run, making this the perfect fit. Then he smoothly pivots, asking if everything is set for their midnight escape. While she's busy checking her bag filled with his favorite snacks, he drops a reality check, reminding her this escape is about survival, not some weekend picnic. But she's just riding the hype train, proudly showing off the miniature wedding figures Yizhang gave her, calling them her most prized loot. With a heavy sigh, our MC realizes she spent all that time just hunting down those figures and warns her that if they're a pact, they need to bounce ASAP. Flashing back to the good old days, Yizhang remembers being at a super crowded recruitment spot in the cultivation world. A flashy recruiter walks up, totally hyping up his good looks, and asks if he's down to join the Heiyuan sect. Blown away by the fact that there's a faction that literally doesn't care about innate talent, the MC signs up on the spot. After joining the crew, he figured out how things worked and just focused on leveling up. But the peace didn't last long before a massive turf war broke out between the factions. Since he was just an outer ring rookie with zero VIP protection, he got shipped straight to the front lines to act as literal cannon fodder. A few months back during a mission, he took a massive hit, passed out, and got rescued by a country girl named Zayat. Chilling at her place to heal up, the MC got super used to that cozy, peaceful life and completely lost the drive to go back to his old squad. Out of nowhere, a massive spike of spiritual energy hits the area, forcing Yizhang to dodge purely on instinct. Up in the sky, giant monster avatars and fighters are going at it in a crazy brawl, proving that in this war, sitting on the sidelines isn't an option. Panicking at the incoming danger, he tells Xiaoto to grab her gear right now, because they're leaving tonight. Running through the woods holding her hand, he admits he's totally done chasing immortality. All he wants is to take her far away so they can just live their lives. Catching him blushing in the dark, Xiaoto happily points out she's never seen him like that, but he dodges the topic and tells her to step on the gas. On the way, she asks if there's any chance they can come back home someday. Yizhang promises that as long as they're together, anywhere can be home. Thinking to himself, the MC remembers he's actually an Isekai protagonist, but his cheat system has literally never worked, which was super confusing at first. When he first dropped into this universe, he tried to join a bunch of guilds, but some lady told him his stats were trash and kicked him to the curb. Trying his luck again, a massive tank-build fighter also rejected him instantly, claiming the MC's frame was way too squishy for their training. Totally bummed out by getting ghosted everywhere, he questioned why he even got sent to a cultivation world if he didn't have the hardware to cultivate. Cutting back to the dark forest escape, the duo's speedrun is violently interrupted by a bossy voice telling them to freeze. Standing there looking absolute boss is Bai Ningbing, the commander of the Jade Maiden sect, flexing a seriously intimidating. One of her sidekicks instantly spots Yizhang as a member of the rival squad, and asks the boss if they should send him to the lobby right then and there. With an ice-cold glare, the commander raises her hand and tells her minion to chill for a second before doing anything drastic. Out of absolutely nowhere, a lightning-fast strike smacks Yizhang right in the face. The hit sends the MC flying hard into the dirt, letting out a groan of pain while trying to get back on his feet. Looking down at the wrecked guy, Bai Ningbing says there's a chance he might keep his HP, as long as he leaks the enemy's next game plan. Coughing up red on the floor, he finds that question hilarious. He fires back that a low-level scrub like him would never have VIP intel, mocking how desperate they look. The sarcastic comeback totally rubs the sect commander the wrong way. She just scoffs and looks away. Taking the hint, the blonde sidekick says the boss shouldn't waste her energy and asks for permission to take out the trash, getting an instant green light. Panicking, Xiaoto jumps in front to shield the guy, crying and begging them not to hurt him, swearing he's a good person. Watching the whole thing with pure villain energy, the minion makes fun of the farm girl's heavy feelings. With a completely cheap and heartless move, the blonde strikes the girl down with a direct thrust. Seeing this ruthless play, Yizhang's eyes go wide in a mix of pure shock and absolute despair. Watching Xiaoto drop to the freezing forest floor, the MC screams her name with everything he's got. Crawling through the dirt, crying his eyes out, he asks why they had to target someone who had zero to do with their beef. Holding his partner in his arms, Yizhang glares at the attacker with pure hatred, demanding to know why she pulled such a twisted move. Enjoying the guy's rage, the woman smirks, saying anyone tied to that sect is doomed to a bad ending, threatening to give him one last chance to spill the beans. Instead of giving her an answer, the MC uses his last bit of energy to spit right at her as a massive sign of disrespect. Fueled by anger, he trashes her twisted logic and confidently states that even if he had the intel, he wouldn't say a single word to them. The disrespect triggers the minion, who instantly lands a brutal hit on Yi Zhang's face using the hilt of her sword. Unable to even block, the MC takes another heavy blow that makes him yell out, taking serious damage while the enemy looks down on him all high and mighty. Face down and completely out of stamina, he curses these women who run around calling themselves a righteous and honorable faction. Turning her back on the mess, the sect commander teaches her students that to root out evil, sometimes you gotta make the hardcore plays. Her students immediately bow in respect, swearing they totally get the leader's deep lesson. To finish the job, the blonde steps heavily on the wrecked MC's back, telling the useless trash to clock out permanently. In his final moments of consciousness, Yi Zhang promises that if respawning is a thing, he won't let either of those two get a free pass. Right at that exact second, the hidden cheat system detects the user's massive grudge and tries to boot up, but realizes his avatar is fatally damaged and triggers a full restore protocol. The whole scene shifts wildly, now showing the busy frontline fort of the Hehuan sect. Waking up with a jump in a bed, Yi Zhang opens his eyes completely baffled by the new setting. Sitting up and checking the room, he has zero clue what just happened, wondering where on earth he is since he was 100% sure it was game over. A sweet feminine voice echoes in the room, calling him little brother and celebrating that he's awake, letting the MC instantly recognize who it is. The voice belongs to his senior sister, who slides up with zero chill, saying it's finally time for him to practice the sect's special duel methods with her. The moment she tries to touch him to check his HP, Yi Zhang remembers this lady is famous for being totally toxic, and hooking up with her is a one-way ticket to a bad ending. Trying to stall, the MC gently holds her hands and begs her to slow down, shifting the topic to how the war is going, only to hear they just scored a massive victory. Super hyped, the woman explains that the enemy commander who tried a sneak attack yesterday got totally stomped by their boss. The senior sister keeps spilling the tea, saying the invading squad got wiped and all their top-tier loot got confiscated. Processing this intel, Yi Zhang is shocked to realize the rival commander got cornered, wondering how she even survived the massive damage she took. Clenching his jaw, he feels a crazy mix of emotions hijacking his system. Fueled by those bad memories, he decides to bolt from the room, figuring this is the perfect chance to end the career of the woman who ruined his life. But before he can even reach the exit, a hand grabs his shoulder hard, stopping him in his tracks. Pulling him into a tight hug from behind, the blushing senior sister warns him not to run, since they aren't done with their private chat in the room. With zero stamina to fight back, the MC gets dragged into the dark corner, while she whispers for him to chill because it won't hurt a bit. Wrapping her arms all the way around him, she promises in a creepy tone that even his final moment will be full of bliss, leaving him absolutely terrified. Sweating bullets, he realizes his current cultivation level is way too low and he's gonna get absorbed by her instantly, cursing his luck for not surviving even after a respawn. In this critical moment, a glowing screen pops up out of thin air, announcing that the system reboot is complete and congratulating the user for unlocking a new feature. Totally shell-shocked by the sudden pop-up, the MC looks over his shoulder trying to process what's going on. Still trapped in the senior sister's grip, he checks out the name of the behavior readjustment system to figure out how this mod is gonna help him escape. The screen quickly explains its goal is to force a peaceful vibe, forcibly reforming anyone with toxic intentions against the user and dropping sweet loot afterward. Taking advantage of his hesitation, the woman pushes Yi Zhang down hard, teasingly asking why he stopped fighting back. While the screen displays the crazy danger levels of this obsessed senior sister, she celebrates, totally convinced he secretly wanted this to happen too. Completely thrown off by the guy's weird reaction, she asks why he's acting so out of character. Mentally, Yi Zhang curses the system for taking forever to load, but quickly locks onto the enemy and furiously orders her to submit to his commands. Instantly, magical chains spawn out of nowhere and wrap around the woman's avatar, leaving her totally stunned. Getting yanked aggressively into the air, she panics, trying to figure out what kind of broken mechanic this is. Unable to fight the buff holding her, the senior sister just begs the MC to hit the stop button. Looking at the scene feeling super down, the MC thinks to himself that if this power-up had loaded earlier, his savior might still be around. Clenching his fists in the dark, the pain of his recent loss levels up into a quiet rage. Suddenly, a massive sci-fi portal opens in the room, and he decides to step through the glowing gate without a second thought. Crossing the threshold, he finds himself in a dark hallway full of bars, wondering if this is some kind of system jail. The tool instantly drops a pop-up saying the cells are locked, and he needs to meet specific requirements before they unlock. Reaching the main hub, he sees the senior sister hanging from the chains, demanding to know what kind of cursed item he used to trap her there. Totally ignoring the prisoner's rant, Yi Zheng focuses on the blue screen and asks how to farm the rewards from this zone. The system explains he can use this room to fix the prisoner's twisted personality, and the more drastic the change, the better the loot. Intimidated by how cold the MC is acting, the woman bursts into tears and begs to know her fate, while two options float in the air. Checking the options, the MC notices that a direct, punishing purge can power level his cultivation fast and even drop a rare skill. Annoyed that he's ghosting her, the woman demands attention, while the system details that a full reformation would turn her into a loyal ally and drop way better loot. Weighing the choices, he admits the top-tier rewards are actually super tempting. But stepping up looking scary, he warns her he has zero time to waste trying to fix the toxic personality of someone like her. Pointing right at the prisoner, he declares it's way better for his build to just use her as premium XP to level up his own stats right now. Instantly glowing blades shoot toward her, making the senior sister scream in pure panic. Crying her eyes out, the woman begs for her HP, promising to become a basic servant if he just hits the cancel button. Right then, the energy beams hit the prisoner dead on, triggering the hardcore punishment sequence. But suddenly, a red emergency warning flashes on screen, alerting him that new cultivators are approaching, backed by an angry voice outside telling everyone to clear out. With zero options, the system forces the MC's consciousness back to the real world, leaving him super annoyed by the lag spike. Back in the tech jail, the blades vanish, leaving the senior sister hanging in the dark trying to catch her breath. Shaking like crazy, the woman mumbles how relieved she is to not catch a game over, totally clueless that the screen now shows her behavior is 50% reformed. In the real world, the room's door gets kicked open aggressively by a fighter complaining about the delay, reminding him the front lanes need ASAP backup. Walking in, the invader finds it weird that only the MC is in there and immediately asks where senior sister Feng went. Still buffering from the sudden transition, Yi Zheng sighs, trying to load up a quick excuse. Hiding his panic, he lies that the woman found a secret spot for solo grinding, hoping the bluff holds up. Ignoring the excuses, the fighter grabs the MC's arm and drags him outside, saying they just need extra bodies on the battlefield anyway. Seconds later, the guy is flying through the air with a whole squad of disciples, heading straight for the PvP zone. On the way, the squad leader explains their quest is super simple: capture the Jade Maiden Sect commander by Ningbing. He recaps that last night, that woman's crew managed to wipe out almost all their allied invaders in a brutal clash. Hearing that the rival leader is cornered in a cave waiting for the final blow, Yi Zheng's face twists into a dark scowl, totally thirsty for payback. Hitting the drop zone, the squad lands in a rocky canyon where dozens of other players are already waiting. A cleric barks orders at the crowd on full volume, telling everyone to line up and wait for the game plan. Among the NPCs, the vibe is super salty, with a bunch of guys whispering that this lineup feels like a one-way ticket to the respawn screen. Others, though, are acting super cocky, dropping toxic comments about what they're gonna do to the famous rival beauty once she's caught. Just then, the system drops a private DM saying the tech prisoner's partial reformation is done, handing over a chunk of the guaranteed loot. A massive energy buff surrounds the guy's avatar, signaling his cultivation just leveled up to the 5th stage of body refining. Amazed by the glow, the teammate next to him praises the random level up, while Yi Zheng plays it cool, claiming it's just the hype for the boss fight. But deep down, the MC is super confused, since he literally did nothing to make the senior sister hit 50% reformation so fast. His thinking gets cut off by a shout echoing through the canyon, ordering everyone to mute their mics instantly. From a high platform, the sect members bow down respectfully, announcing the epic spawn of the Grand Master Zaya. Flexing an overwhelming purple aura, the guild leader floats down, proving the maxed out power of a golden core player. Feeling the crazy pressure in the zone, all the grunts whisper, totally amazed by the presence of this endgame boss. With a chill wave, the veteran raises his hand and tells his crew to skip the cutscene intro. Immediately, the head cleric thanks the boss for showing up and starts setting up the raid prep. Passing out little red spheres to the mob, a mentor claims this miracle buff was crafted specifically to guarantee a win. Staring at the item in his hand, Yi Zheng keeps a straight face, super suspicious of why they're handing out free premium items. Knowing exactly how toxic this guild is, he's 100% sure it's a trap, while his teammate hypes him up to pop the consumable and lead the charge. At the top of the canyon, the supreme leader watches his army with a total superiority complex. Determined not to get played, the MC brings his hand to his face, pretending to eat the item just to avoid drawing aggro. Taking the mic, the leader loudly announces that the target is already heavily debuffed inside the safe zone. He hypes up the players, promising that a massive Zerg rush while she's on low HP will secure the ultimate victory royale. Blinded by the promise of clout, the disciples get ready to rush in like total noobs. Completely hijacked by the item's code, The guys charge forward with glowing red eyes, totally brainwashed by the urge to grab the rival leader. Trailing right behind them, the MC confirms his suspicions when he sees his teammates acting like wild mobs, realizing that potion seriously messes with your UI. Pushing into the cave, the mob finally spots Bai Ningbing at the back of the room, and their battle cry echoes off the stone walls. Sitting there looking completely out of mana, the rival leader doesn't even move as the raging crowd rushes her. One of the attackers leaps through the air, arrogantly bragging that he's gonna CC her and lock her down for good. But the woman just opens her eyes looking totally disgusted, insulted that the enemy guild sent such trash-tier mobs to bother her. With just a flick of her wrist, a massive green energy blade slices through the cave with insane speed. Flexing her unbeatable boss status, the beauty holds her ground while firing off that wave of pure destruction. Caught completely off guard by the counter, the frontline guy barely has time to process the lag before getting deleted. In a fraction of a second, multiple players get swiped by the crazy AoE, getting thrown violently across the rocky room. Playing it safe near the cave entrance, Yi Zheng sneaks a peek at his teammates getting instantly clapped. Analyzing the feed with zero emotion, he figures that stepping into her aggro range is pure throwing, not believing for a second that she's anywhere near low HP. But the moment she drops her guard, the guild commander notices the downed bodies starting to inflate and glow in a terrifying way. Too late to dodge, she finally gets the real trap the enemy sect set up. A massive explosion wipes the cave, triggered by the violent reaction of the potions inside the brainwashed grunts' avatars. Taking the blast at point blank, Bai Ningbing drops to her knees, her HP bar absolutely shredded. Shaking from the damage and trying to stay up, the leader is mind-blown by the toxic strat of using their own players as living bombs. Coughing non-stop in the smoke, she covers her face feeling a crazy debuff, realizing this cloud isn't just dust but a heavy poison AoE. Outside the toxic cloud, a cleric asks if they should launch the raid, but the leader tells them to hold since the explosion was just phase 1. With massive ego, the old commander explains that the blood mist from the bodies is packed with a signature toxic debuff from their guild. Sitting on the ground, Bai Ningbing starts breathing heavy as the smoke's debuff hacks into her system. The leader panics as an uncontrollable fever status starts taking over her whole avatar incredibly fast. Hiding in the shadows, Yi Zheng watches the whole thing feeling disgusted as he decodes his boss's actual meta. Scanning the battlefield, the MC realizes the potion wasn't just a bomb. It was designed to spread that cheap poison debuff into the air. But suddenly, the beauty spots a blip on her radar and demands to know who's camping in the dark. Realizing his stealth broke, the guy tries to back up, while the woman asks if he seriously thought his sneak stat was high enough. In the blink of an eye, Bai Ningbing dashes and grabs the guy's neck, shocked to see that the level 1 bug from yesterday didn't actually despawn. Gasping for air, he curses his own faction's toxic strats and mentally asks the system if he can catch someone this aggressive. The screen pops up saying her aggro is only at 50%, while the woman threatens to send him back to the lobby permanently right now. Needing to stall and push her rage meter to 100%, the guy decides to troll her, asking if the big boss can only take her anger out on a casual player now. He keeps up the toxic chat, pointing right at her face that all her followers got wiped, suggesting she should just hit the forfeit button if she's so scared of the end screen. Totally tilted by his audacity, the woman tells him to shut it and launches him hard using a blast of green energy. Hijacked by rage, she rants about getting backstabbed and angrily wonders how her stats dropped to such a trash level. Promising to grief all the traitors, the warrior warns she's gonna start her kill streak by deleting this worm. While she charges up an ultimate, the system flags that her aggro hit 90%, which still isn't enough to trigger the capture. With nowhere to run, the guy just widens his eyes at the incoming game over. A colossal beam of green energy shoots right at him, wiping out everything in its path. Suddenly, the leader's hand starts shaking uncontrollably, totally locked out of holding her own weapon. The legendary sword slips from her fingers and drops to the cave floor. Blocking the residual flash, Yi Zheng gets super annoyed that he's so close to the required stat but still can't use his main skill. The heavy weapon clanks against the rocks, echoing through the empty server. The MC watches the feed completely confused, seeing the boss drop her guard like a total noob. Losing her boss aura, the woman mumbles, unable to decode why her mana pool just hit 0 instantly. The poison debuff hits its max stack, forcing the sect commander to complain about the insane heat damage while her focus hits rock bottom. Crashing from the enemy's toxic status effect, she falls to her knees, unable to keep her character standing. Outside, the cleric hypes up that the arrogant Bai Ningbing finally forfeited and can't fight the debuff anymore. The old commander agrees and decides to camp a bit longer, planning to raid only when she's fully AFK to maximize the loot. Right then, a heart-wrenching scream echoes from the back of the dark cave. Completely hacked by the chemical status, The woman rolls on the rocky floor fighting her own corrupted you. Taking advantage of her lag, a massive X buff surrounds the MC's avatar out of nowhere. Mind blown by the stat boost, the guy realizes that in record time, his cultivation level just skipped to the 9th stage. Glowing with green light, the leader tries to fix her posture, proving her premium build has some crazy auto-heal passive skills. An awkward silence drops in the lobby as both try to process the crazy glitch that just happened. Trying to avoid a ban, Yizheng points out she's a high-tier player and that this whole cringe situation is 100% her own fault. He reminds her the level gap between them was huge, and he was just an item she used to clear the poison debuff. The excuse doesn't clear his aggro, and the sect commander glares at him with a death stare packed with rage and a bruised ego. Driven by pure hate, she reaches out and grabs the hilt of her dropped sword. Getting up with a groan, the warrior warns that no matter what glitch happened here, she's still gonna zero his HP. Right as she dashes in for the fatal combo, the system finally dings, confirming her rage hit 100%, unlocking the capture button. The blue screen drops all the big boss stats, detailing her top-tier level and her ruthless alignment. But instantly, an error message pops up saying the tech jail is out of storage space, throwing the MC into full panic mode. Staring down a guaranteed game over, he yells at the UI to kick the previous prisoner ASAP and hits confirm on the swap. In a flash, the woman who was stored in the system gets forcefully ejected into the real world, leaving Bai Ningbing super confused by the random spawn. Instantly, magical chains glitch out of the floor and lock down the warrior's avatar before she can even press a button. With a swipe gesture, Yizheng commands the system to drag the new target into the quarantine zone. Pulled by an unbeatable magnet physics engine, the leader gets sucked into the glowing portal against her will. Safe inside the tech zone, the guy takes a massive breath, feeling his stamina bar flashing red after surviving on 1 HP. But the relief quickly flips to a victory emote when he realizes he finally caught the boss who crashed his whole playthrough. Inside the dark system jail, a bunch of crowd control tools are mounted on the freezing walls. Locked tight in a wooden frame, the arrogant commander starts panicking when she notices her mana pool is completely disabled. Walking up looking super chill, the MC warns her to stop mashing buttons, because in this zone he has admin privileges over everything. Trying to clip out of the restraints, the woman demands his real gamertag and wants to know what kind of dark mod this is. Wanting to mute the prisoner, the guy punches the frame right next to her face, triggering a massive sound effect. Grabbing the leader's chin roughly, he makes it crystal clear her role got downgraded, and she doesn't have the permission level to ask questions. Then the screen drops the loot table for reforming this boss, showing a massive X boost and a super rare passive skill. Checking the drop rates, he admits the system is super generous when it comes to an SSR tier target like her. Ready to speedrun the task, he spawns a punishment tool in his hand. Keeping a straight face and focusing on the end goal, Yizheng figures he's gonna need to use some hardcore moderation tools if he wants to farm all that XP. Trapped in the wooden hitbox, the former commander just looks away, feeling a mix of fear and total humiliation. Right before he starts the event, an urgent notification flashes warning that invaders are pushing his location, making the guy curse his absolute trash RNG. In the real world, a purple magic attack smashes into the cave entrance with max damage. The hit turns the rock barricade to pixels, letting the daylight render into the dark room. Walking through the blast debris, the enemy sect commanders finally push into the safe zone. Strutting in like he already won, the old master trolls on global chat, asking if the goddess Ningbing has been waiting long. Checking the feed from inside the system UI, Yizheng realizes his physical avatar is completely screwed. His POV snaps back to his real body right in the middle of the room, seeing the only exit is totally body blocked by the invaders. With no escape routes active, he charges up his mana and decides to just try hard until he gets wiped. But the insane effort drains his stamina and he coughs red, feeling the internal damage from his glitched out state. Purple aura spreads across the map, clearly rendering the post-explosion layout. The guild veterans hit the brakes instantly, staring at the scene in front of them totally muted. Stuttering, one of the clerics reports to the boss that the grunts got turned to dust, and there are literally only 2 surviving players in there. To everyone's massive shock, the girl on the floor isn't the final boss they were hunting, but the disciple who disconnected earlier. Still lagging from the forced spawn, the woman ejected from the system screams in terror, finding herself surrounded by all her admins at once. Unable to decode the glitch, the sect leader stomps the ground, insisting it's impossible for Bai Ningbing to have clipped out of his trap. Glaring at the downed woman with a scary aura, he demands to know the rival leader's hidden coordinates right now, but the veteran just replies in a panic that she has 0 intel. Just then, one of the clerics slides up telling the boss to chill, suggesting they run a full scan of the zone, since the target might have literally been dusted by the out. Thinking it over, the cleric starts suspecting the rival leader might have used a cosmetic mod to spoof her avatar. The boss absolutely loves that theory and lets out an evil villain laugh that echoes through the whole map. Sold on the idea, he points at the woman on the floor, calling her by the rival's username and asking how long she plans to troll, swearing she can't bypass his anti-cheat. Being super toxic, the veteran rips part of the prisoner's skin to try and force the disguise off. Watching the feed, the cleric goes silent and tries to step in, asking what the boss is doing and if he hasn't realized the bug yet. Ignoring the warning, the Supreme Commander locks eyes on the girl and announces in global chat that she is 100% by Ningbing using a skin changer. Stressing out, the veteran tries to defend herself, saying she's just a standard NPC disciple, but the boss trolls her, claiming her massive aggro aura proves she got hit by their signature debuff. Not listening to her, saying that's just their guild's default passive, the master declares it doesn't matter if she accepts the prompt or not. Meanwhile, the cleric points at the downed guy in the back, reminding him they have a live witness. Turning her camera to the ping, the woman spots Zhang instantly and goes absolutely ballistic. Blaming the guy for this whole ban-worthy mess, she charges at him to get some payback. Before she can get close, the sect commander pins her to the floor using a massive gravity skill, arrogantly asking if she thinks she can grief or team up with the witness on his watch. Next, the cleric stands next to the downed Zhang and orders the surviving noob to wake up, while the guy lets out a low HP groan. Grabbing the weak guy's face with zero chill, the cleric forces him to tilt his camera up. Coughing a bit, Zhang says thanks for the carry, and the old guy demands he recaps the exact server logs of what happened in the cave. Taking advantage of the glitch, the MC lies, claiming that as soon as he loaded in, he saw everyone explode and the enemy boss took massive damage from the hit. Throwing a tactical look, he hits a calculated pause to script the perfect ending for his fake lore. Lying through his teeth, he claims the boss then swapped her skin to look exactly like that, making the Supreme Master laugh with joy, celebrating his big brain read. Happy with the result, the leader orders them to haul the prisoner to the lockdown zone, promising to turn her into a pure farming bot later. Getting dragged away, the woman glares at the guy with pure hate, promising to grief him, but he just flashes a tiny smirk, rating the ban as well-deserved. With the quest complete, the veteran turns around and says everyone needs to fast travel back to the frontline fort, since the rival faction just got wiped from the leaderboard. But the cleric tells them to hold up, remembering a super important plot hole. Staring Zhang down with high suspicion, he asks how it's mathematically possible for this kid to still be alive when everyone else who took the potion caught a permaban. Sweating under the intense scan, the guy swallows hard, realizing the aggro shifted to him, and he needs to craft an excuse ASAP. Faking a debuff, he says his HP dropped hard after eating the item, but he got knocked back by the enemy boss's skill, and when his screen unfroze, his stats had leveled up in a totally glitched way. Checking the kid's stats, the cleric confirms the level up and guesses he must have a crazy high poison resist passive, suggesting the alchemy lab could really use a lab rat to test new patches. Letting out a toxic laugh, the old guy pitches the twisted idea to the guild boss. Rating the strat as S tier, the Supreme Master hits accept and grabs Zhang's shoulder super hard. Flashing a fake smile, the leader declares that starting today, the kid is his personal apprentice, leaving him stunned by the fake VIP tag. Without wasting a frame, Zhang drops to his knees, spamming thanks and swears absolute loyalty, while the cleric tells him to get up so they can fast travel to the fort ASAP. Keeping his head down, the MC perfectly understands these two boomers are totally corrupt, but decides to play the meta since right now his only quest is keeping his HP above zero. Soon the squad activates their flight mounts, zooming through the sky over the canyon straight to the base. Their drop point is the frontline fort, specifically the guild's massive alchemy hub. In the main lobby, a giant forge is constantly burning, crafting the faction's premium. Once inside, the old master warns that, as a VIP apprentice, the kid has a special daily quest to grind immediately, which just maxes out Zhang's paranoia. Acting super polite, the guy asks the boss to drop the quest markers, promising to try hard, even though mentally he's planning to rage quit at the first open window. Happy with the respect, the leader says he won't go easy and reaches into his inventory. Pulling out a handful of sketchy consumables, he orders the kid to pop them all at once, putting the guy in absolute shock. Staring at the green glowing orbs on the table, Zhang tries to dodge, claiming his level is way too low for such premium items, but the master trolls him, bringing up that special poison resist passive again. Analyzing the brutal trap, the MC finally decodes that the VIP tag was just a fake excuse to turn him into a human testing dummy. Stuttering and taking a step back, his ping spikes, making the veteran ask in a threatening tone if the kid faked his stats back in the cave. Slamming his hand on the desk, the master warns about the ban rates for trolling the admins, forcing Zhang to act fast so his cover isn't blown. With no way to clip out of the trap, he grabs one of the orbs and gulps it down, praying that whatever is coded in there doesn't zero his health bar. Super hyped about the test, the master tells the kid to eat the items one by one so he can log all the status effects perfectly. The timer ticks painfully slow with Yi Zhang swallowing the toxic items while the boss watches like a hawk, wondering how he's gonna juke this boomer for much longer. Out of nowhere, a massive explosion shakes the hub's walls, jump-scaring the sect commander. A disciple rushes into the room to ping that the enemy team respawned and is raiding the fort again, making the old man furious about the terrible timing. Taking advantage of the perfect RNG, the MC hypes the master to go carry the team outside, promising he'll keep grinding the tests solo. Not catching the bluff, the veteran hits accept and tells the kid to focus on his AFK grind, immediately pinging all fighters for the raid defense. As soon as he's left alone, Yi Zhang lets out a massive sigh of relief celebrating his insane clutch, knowing the outdoor raid is the perfect cover to hit the escape button. Scanning the shelves packed with rare loot, he decides not to log out empty-handed and plans to grab everything with a high drop value. To speedrun the looting, the guy pulls up the blue system UI and hits confirm to spawn his top-tier prisoner. In a flash of sci-fi pixels, Bai Ningbing spawns right in the middle of the room, totally disoriented. Looking at her own hands, the beauty smiles, relieved thinking she finally glitched out of that cursed server. But the hype dies instantly when the guy pops up right behind her, warning her with zero chill not to get any fake hopes of logging out in this playthrough. Handing the woman an empty inventory bag, he orders her to co-op the looting and grab all the useful materials, telling her to skip the overly complex poison drops. Flexing a debuff collar on her neck, the warrior crosses her arms salty and says she has 0 points in the alchemy skill tree, since her NPCs used to do that boring grind for her. With zero patience for excuses, Yi Zhang demands she speed up the quest, leaving the proud leader feeling super nerfed for having to take orders from a casual player. Searching through the messy tables, Bai Ningbing spots a weird glowing item in the corner that catches her eye. She notices the guy is holding onto a specific potion looking super stressed about it. Flashing a villain's smirk, the woman guesses that heavily guarded item might be the patch she needs to unblock her nerfed stats. Crafting a decoy play, she points to a shelf in the back pretending she found some epic elixirs, forcing Yi Zhang to turn around and check it out. Exploiting the lag frame, the warrior dashes in and steals the item right out of the MC's hand. In a desperate play for mana, she chugs the whole thing without even reading the patch notes. Whipping his camera around, the guy is mind-blown and stutters, asking if she really had the guts to pop that consumable. Flexing a super arrogant emote, the leader claims his panic reaction just proves she made the absolute meta play. Suddenly, a super unstable aura radiates from her avatar, making her heart rate spike out of control. But the power buff quickly turns into massive lag, and she starts sweating bullets, feeling her character model burning from the inside out. Holding her chest and groaning, the former commander panics when she realizes her mana bar didn't refill at all. Panting and with her face totally red, she finally identifies the hardcore debuffs tied to that specific item class. Analyzing the screen with zero emotion, Yi Zhang figures the old master was trying to beta test a heavy mind control recipe, silently thanking his RNG for not drinking that crap. Unable to keep her character standing, the woman tugs on the guy's sleeve looking super low HP. Completely hacked by the potion's massive duty, the big boss drops her elite posture and begs for a carry, needing an instant cleanse. Riding the irony of the whole thing, Yi Zhang trolls her, bringing up how she just tried to rage quit and now has the nerve to crawl back begging for his heals. Totally hijacked by the item's code, the former leader forfeits and groans, admitting she made a massive misplay. Yanking the chains keeping her in check, the guy warns her with a straight face that if she really admits the L, she needs to drop the arrogant act from this frame forward. Humiliated for having to submit to a basic disciple, the proud warrior bites her lip, feeling the cringe completely take over. Unable to tank the poison's heat damage any longer, she drops to her knees begging desperately to get her code fixed ASAP, while the system UI dings, showing her reform meter went up and dropping an X buff for the MC. The guy doesn't miss the chance to laugh at the feed, thinking it's hilarious how the top-tier goddess of the Righteous Guild is now reduced to a pet begging at his feet. Pulling the prisoner close, he announces this is the last revive token she's getting and orders her not to throw the game again, getting an instant confirm that she wouldn't. The chat goes completely quiet in the giant alchemy hub. Fixing his gear after clearing the bug, the guy mutters that this guild's signature poison debuff is actually super annoying to patch out. Adjusting her sitting animation on the floor, Bai Ningbing feels super salty about having to go through that loop again with the same kid, while the screen pops up saying Phase 1 is clear and a new reform zone just unlocked. Right then, a random ping sound grabs Yi Zhang's attention. Curious about the notification, he turns his camera to see what the system is trying to drop. A massive epic tier red portal renders beautifully inside the tech zone, making the guy hype up over farming unexpected loot so fast. But the hype gets cancelled by a flashing red danger icon on the HUD, warning that other players are engaging in PvP right next to his physical hitbox. Instantly, he remembers the outdoor raid and realizes the frontline fort is still getting zerged by the enemy team. Scanning the chaotic map, Yi Zhang figures the raid's lag is the perfect window to successfully extract from this toxic server. So he tells Bai Ningbing to stop lagging and follow him ASAP so they can extract immediately. Moving fast, one of them clips a bad polygon on the unstable floor of the alchemy room. Suddenly, the textures break completely and they both fall through the map into a dark pit, screaming at the jump scare. Taking fall damage, they land in an unmapped zone, groaning as they hit the bottom. Catching his breath, Yi Zhang realizes there's a hidden dungeon perfectly masked right under the main lobby. At that moment, the MC casts a low-level fire spell in his palm to fix the zero brightness rendering. Scanning the new room, he sees the zone is packed with prisoners from the enemy guild suspended by ropes and chains. Seeing this brutal setup, Bai Ningbing gets a massive shock when she spots her own NPCs tied up and griefed. Rushing toward one of them, the master panics and takes the blame for failing to tank for any member of her squad. Watching the reunion, Yi Zhang sarcastically drops in the chat that this whole thing looks like karma finally catching up to the boss. Right then, a weak, shaky voice from the dark asks for the gamertag of whoever else is in that damp server. Recognizing the voice ID instantly, Bai Ningbing desperately screams the name of her disciple, Lanjai. Hanging upside down from a pillar, the girl barely has the stamina to trigger a walk animation because her HP is so low. Staring at her favorite student in that garbage state, the sect leader can't hide her panic and stress. Locked in heavy chains, Xiao Lanjai coughs with insane lag and shows she's sitting at critical health. Even while taking duty, the second disciple looks at her master with a sliver of hope, saying she was 100% sure the carry was coming. Broken, Bai Ningbing wonders how the lore got this dark and curses the toxic Hehuan guild. Scanning the girl's stats, Yi Zhang sees her mana core is completely shattered and her energy bar is basically at zero. Checking the massive internal debuffs, he points out the disciple is literally one frame away from catching a permaban. Panning the camera to the side, the guy sees other fighters being used like total garbage as literal mana batteries. Crying, the former leader begs Yi Zhang to save her subordinate's HP, promising to run any quest he gives her. Flashing back to the raid day, she explains how her oldest student switched teams and griefed the whole squad with zero chill. During the desperate escape, Lanjai sacrificed herself pulling aggro from multiple players so her master could stealth away and hide. Because of that, the leader managed to reach the cave, where the first PvP match between her and the MC went down recently. Offering to swap places with the disciple as a prisoner, Bai Ningbing begs for the girl to survive no matter the cost. But Lanjai yells from the top of the chains, begging her master never to ask for a carry from Dark Guild players. Watching the emotional cutscene between the two, Yi Zhang keeps a poker face, calculating which dialogue option to pick. While the girl claims she'd rather hit game over than watch her master get nerfed, the system drops a hint that saving her will unlock epic tier relics. Flashing a troll smile, the guy warns he has zero obligation to play support, since he only heals players in his own party. Looking the woman dead in the eyes, Yi Zhang demands hard proof that she is ready to submit to his admin commands completely. So he orders her to drop a message in global chat confirming she belongs to him, before he even thinks about dropping a heal on the injured girl. With no other route, Bai Ningbing drops to her knees and confirms she's Yi Zhang's woman, putting Lanjai in total shock. Hearing that humiliating voice line, the disciple gets an even bigger rage buff, and the system logs a spike in her aggro meter. Grabbing the leader by the hair, the guy rudely corrects her, stating she is just his maid and nothing more than a utility item. Tilted by the toxic way he treats her master, Lanjai tells him to let go and challenges him to a 1v1 if he has any guts. Enjoying the blind loyalty, Yi Zhang reminds them they teamed up to grief him in the past and are now just tasting their own medicine. Calling them hypocrites who only farm low-level players, he declares they both need a hardcore bandwave to learn their lesson. While the former leader looks down feeling cringe, the disciple just keeps clenching her teeth in pure salt over the current meta. Seeing the girl's rage meter only going up, the MC rates the situation as highly entertaining and camps for the exact frame to hit capture. Suddenly, a massive explosion shakes the ceiling, reminding the guy they are still right under a massive PvP zone. Popping a gravity skill, he pulls the injured disciple close while telling her to stop wasting her stamina. With a quick animation, Yi Zhang breaks the chains locking the girl down, letting her fall free just to catch her midair. Even while lagging, she processes the warning that she needs to stick to his hitbox if she wants any chance of extracting alive. But the escape route is body blocked by a squad of guild players demanding they freeze in the hall. A player named Lin C pops up, blaming the group for boundary breaking and demands everyone pay the toll with their HP right there. Seeing the new spawns, Lanjai gets confused and asks if they aren't players from the guilds that are supposed to enforce the server rules. Scanning the flying sword trap, Yi Zheng figures clearing this squad out of the way is gonna be super annoying and drain his mana. He eyes the invaders suspiciously, noting their alignment could easily be just as toxic as any other boss. Flexing a super creepy look, Lin Si locks onto Bai Ningbing and points out her mana bar looks completely empty. Pitching a disgusting trade, the guy mentions he'd love to AFK in a private room with the server's top beauty for some fun. Decoding the real stats of these fighters, the disciple panics when she realizes they don't have the true paladin tag like she thought. The squad leader keeps trash-talking, claiming Lanjai would also be premium loot for his personal inventory. Yi Zheng realizes the faction tags are just purely cosmetic and decides to use these clowns to max out the disciple's rage meter. Right then, Lin Si offers to let the guy walk away with 0 damage if he trades the two. Hitting accept on the trade instantly, the MC pretends to be a total coward to force Lanjai's aggro to finally hit the cap. While Lin Si's grunts celebrate the easy scam, the girl flames them for being shameless, toxic trash for playing like that. Completely taken over by max-level rage, she promises to wipe their whole squad, while the system confirms her aggro just hit the limit. Seeing his troll strat work flawlessly, Yi Zheng watches the disciples start glowing with a dangerous, intense aura. The UI shows she has a rare spiritual build, and the extreme stress just unlocked a hidden, game-breaking power. With the aggro cap hit, the system validates the capture of the rebellious disciple, and drops Yi Zheng an epic-tier mystic sword that glows with intense red energy. Inspecting the new drop, the guy flexes his confidence and decides to use the invaders as target practice to test the weapon's actual DPS. In the blink of an eye, he dashes with terrifying speed, leaving just a red motion blur and catching the enemies totally off guard. Giving 0 startup frames to block, Yi Zheng lands a critical hit on the first target, deleting the player from the lobby instantly. The UI shows the blade literally absorbs the defeated enemy's XP to level up, hyping the MC over the insane RNG of getting this drop. Realizing too late that the kid was smurfing, Lin Si panics and orders his team to pop a defensive formation to counterattack. Instantly, the players lock into position and cast a glowing magic shield around themselves. Right after, the guys spam magic projectiles at the target, but Yi Zheng dodges and parries everything effortlessly, noticing his movement speed got massively buffed. Analyzing the feed, the guy figures all this speed is a passive from the new sword, but he realizes it costs a ton of stamina. Suddenly, the MC gets a heavy internal debuff and coughs red, showing clear signs his stamina bar is completely shot. Checking weapon durability, he sees the energy stored from the last kill is almost entirely depleted. Stressed about the nerf, the guy figures he'll get wiped if the fight drags on, while Lin Si yells at his grunts not to drop the pressure and focus on stealing the relic. Swapping their attack pattern super fast, the enemies summon a massive green energy sword in the With a massive sound effect, the giant blade crashes down on the MC with 0 mercy. Watching the explosion up close, the enemy squad leader acts super cocky, doubting a casual player could ever tank a hit of that tier. Fighting the heavy nerf, Yi Zheng coughs violently while trying to super armor through the raw damage of the enemy attack. The massive pressure keeps pushing the kid into the rocks, threatening to clip his avatar in half any second. Convinced it's a free win, Lin Si and his sidekick chill out, saying the target is out of mana to counter, planning to just loot the red blade for themselves. Totally pinned under the green glow, the guy yields to the 0 stamina state and drops to his knees on the dungeon floor. Thirsty for that rare drop, one of the attackers gets salty that a low-level player actually got his hands on something so broken. But the victory emote gets cancelled when the enemy notices the injured kid is gripping the sword's hilt with crazy determination. Powered by pure toxic energy in the middle of taking damage, the MC figures that without enemy exp, his own HP works perfectly to fuel the relic. Radiating a dark and dangerous aura, he sacrifices his own health bar into the blade, leaving the enemies totally confused by the suicidal play. Flexing a dense, terrifying aura, the guy tilts his camera up, declaring it's time to return the favor. With one smooth, violent combo, he fires a red shockwave that shatters the entire hallway to pixels. The massive DPS of the attack breaks the enemy shield like it was made of glass, completely deleting their magic formation. Sweating bullets as he watches his team drop, the squad leader realizes in shock he doesn't have the stats to solo this raid boss. Pulling a total coward move, Lin Si turns his back on the fight and pops his flight skill trying to evade the incoming team wipe. With his crosshairs locked on the prey and his battle hype maxed out, Yi Zheng announces the escape routes just got patched. Dashing through the air like a lightning bolt, he catches the runner easily and lands a fatal slash right in midair. Feeling the weight of the cursed blade piercing his chest, the runner panics, asking how this glitch even happened before his screen fades to black for good. Standing like a total boss over the downed attacker, the MC lets out a huge sigh trying to reset his stamina regen. Right at that exact frame, a familiar glow catches his eye and Yi Zhang turns his camera, noticing the magic signature nearby. Despite clearly having low HP and debuffs, the guy uses his sarcasm to ask if the rescued girl's first move is really to aggro the guy who just carried her. Rocking a cold stare, Xiao Lanjai's blue eyes keep glowing with pure hostile intent toward him. Holding a broken sword while her avatar leaks spiritual mist, the girl threatens the guy, who just rolls his eyes wondering if this is the garbage meta the Grand Master taught her guild. Without backing up a single pixel, Lanjai validates the revive and drops a super dry thanks for the play. But the gratitude ends fast as she readies her blade, claiming the path of light and evil can never share a lobby, earning a bored sigh from the guy who already saw this hypocritical dialogue coming. Annoyed by the cliché script, the guy mutters that the famous righteous faction is just a bunch of ungrateful snakes using cosmetic skins. Tired of trying to chat in global, the MC pulls up the blue UI and quickly hits the command to end the target's spawn. Caught completely off guard by the alien tech, the girl gets locked down by virtual chains before she can even mash a button to die. Safe in his invisible admin zone, Yi Zhang calculates which of the two reform paths he should click for the new drop. Checking the detailed stats, he sees a hardcore purge would force his exp to spike instantly, power leveling his avatar in seconds. On the flip side, the screen says hacking her mind would turn her into a permanent party member, dropping a nature-based genetic trait as a bonus. The UI explains this exclusive drop grants full admin rights over identifying herbs and their healing stats. Hyped about the herb passive, Yi Zhang realizes finishing this mental reform will automatically respec him into a highly sought-after potion crafter. Without a second thought, he grabs the prisoner by the neck to flex his admin power. Glaring at the struggling girl, he drops the truth bomb that it would be incredibly stupid to waste such broken passives just by zeroing her HP right now. Yanking the chains holding her with zero chill, the guy pulls the woman's avatar super close and demands she follows his prompts. With their hitboxes overlapping in a tense vibe, he toxically mentions he read the lore about her sacred body's auto-heal passives, hinting that sticking close together will clear all his debuffs in no time. Outside, the enemy's body is still despawning in the quiet hallway, while the girl's complaints and crying echo muffled through the endless corridors of the punishment system. After a heavy grinding session, the system pops a notification warning that 20% of the submission bar is already filled. Clipping out of the dimension back to the jail, the MC flexes a green aura around him, proving he unlocked Phase 1 of the plant-based skill tree. Showing off a rigged model with perfect textures, the young guy admires his hands, noticing zero trace of the damage he took during the PvP matches. He gets super hyped seeing that on top of the broken auto-heal, his mana regen is ticking up at a crazy speed. Now wearing proper gear, he brushes off his outfit, agreeing with himself that the whole night's raid dropped some god-tier loot. Ready to keep moving, the guy swipes his hand to open the tech menu and hits the command to store the two captured players. Trolling the goddess Ningbing and her nerfed student who are now just items in his digital inventory, says he can't wait for the day they're free will gets completely formatted. The quiet gets patched out when the cave's ceiling shakes violently, dropping particle effects and debris. Focusing on the chaotic audio of the raid happening upstairs, Yi Zhang decides he's overstayed his welcome in this toxic map and needs to find an extraction point ASAP. Sprinting back to the alchemy rooms, the guy rushes to loot the zone so he doesn't extract empty-handed from this server crash. During his speedrun, the guy stops his sprint animation when he spots some sus containers left on the floor. Stopping to inspect, he finds tiny mystic vials glowing with premium loot under the rubble. The second he locks his camera on the items, the guy's new passive triggers, automatically logging the complex elements and full crafting recipes right into his HUD. Picking up a healing consumable, Yi Zhang is blown away and rates himself S tier for being able to scan any alchemy item just by its scent, confirming the system's drop was legit. Not wasting time playing the hero, he starts spam-clicking to add the rare ingredients and expensive vials into his inventory slots. Celebrating in his head, he trolls the old boss who is gatekeeping this real treasure, loving the fact that all this loot belongs purely to him now. Out of nowhere, an unexpected collision happens when a super curvy woman crashes straight into him while sprinting. Knocked back by the heavy hit, the kid rudely asks for the gamer tag of whoever dared to body block him, only to hear the intruder bounce the same question back in a threatening tone. Flexing a highly detailed model wrapped in the evil guild's uniform, the unknown lady quickly figures out the kid is just there to fill his bags with stolen loot. Stunned by the crash, the MC realizes his nose is leaking red pixels and guesses he just face-planted into something way too soft. But the stun effect gets worse when he feels a crazy lag in his system, and his screen gets blurry without any obvious debuff cast. Shaking to stay unstunned, he realizes this random lady's aura is hacking his sensors, quickly remembering his location and her crazy fatal attraction passive. The guy recalls the chat in the camp constantly claiming Huang Tianmei had trashed DPS, but her natural character model was a guaranteed CC to stun any player. Ignoring the kid's obvious lag, the older lady presses hard, demanding the usernames of whoever gave him the quest to come here. Meanwhile, Yi Zhang fights his own UI, just wanting to extract from this trap-filled zone before he fails the save file against her charms. Trying to dodge this random encounter, Yi Zhang drops a respectful emote and pretends to be Old Man Wu's new VIP apprentice, swearing he didn't have the steal command active and only wanted to protect the inventory. Pointing at the hole in the floor, he explains 3 rival guild invaders pushed the zone, and he barely survived to keep the stash safe from the raid. The older lady raises an eyebrow, showing major suspicion over the weak excuse and the kid's bold dial. Putting her weapon away, Huang Tianmei mocks the lore, rating it mathematically impossible for a low-level scrub to solo 3 veteran players, guessing the whole thing was pure RNG luck. Sweating under the permanent debuff, the guy realizes she's using an aura skill to scramble his UI and knows he needs to pop a cleanse ASAP. With a quick dash, he unleashes a heavy burst of green mana around his avatar to purge the enemy's mind control debuff. Amazed by the counterplay, the woman praises the kid's chill vibe against her heavy aggro, while he acts humble, dropping an apology emote for any lag. Wanting to test if his lore is legit, she uses her purple magic to spawn a cauldron right at him, demanding the kid prove his gamertag by flexing his crafting skills. The massive alchemy tool crashes into the stones right in front of Yi Zhang with a heavy sound effect, kicking up dust in the wrecked room. Looking at the guy with a troll smile, the woman says crafting a few basic items shouldn't be a problem for the old master's so-called genius smurf. Analyzing the trap, the MC figures she's trying to softlock him, since his current level shouldn't have the stats for that kind of high-tier crafting. But he quickly remembers his big trump card. His new avatar with maxed-out nature affinity can easily clear the quest, so he hits accept on the trial. Scanning the stat change instantly, Huang Tianmei gets super shocked when she notices the kid's mana pool just got way denser and more dangerous. Hyped by his confident stance, she wonders privately if this noob can actually craft a high-tier item without dropping the combo. Focused on the objective, Yi Zhang confidently extends his hand and casts a powerful green spirit flame, ready to start the alchemy minigame. With insane speed, the guy shoots the spirit fire straight into the cauldron to preheat the tool before dropping any mats in. While the heat gauge fills up smoothly, he rubs his chin, figuring he can use this short buffer to select the perfect healing herbs. Checking the junk on the floor, the guy sees most of the original mats got totally corrupted during the recent PvP. But flexing absolute confidence with his new scanning passive, he swears that coding a backup recipe is the easiest tutorial quest in the world for him right now. Using his newly downloaded botany data, he quickly picks 3 specific plants that will balance the mana drain and shield the avatar from any recoil damage. With zero lag, Yi Zhang drops the core mats he just picked into the heated tool with perfect hit registration. Instantly, the cauldron's engine reacts to the mix, glowing with a bright green light through the rusty vents. Locked in on the precise minigame, the MC controls the magic flames just by moving his hands, entirely focused on keeping the heat gauge in the green zone. Up close, the older lady notices the herbs he used are completely off meta, confirming the kid actually has the skills to back it up. The guy is in the zone, and his eyes glow bright as he notices the chemical mix just hit the perfect threshold for the final craft. Suddenly, a massive pillar of green fire erupts from the cauldron's vents, lighting up the whole ruined room. With a super loud boom, the heavy lid gets launched into the sky from the massive pressure of the mana packed inside. Through the blinding flash, a bunch of perfectly rendered spherical items pop out, floating magically in the. Super satisfied with his own crafting score, Yi Zhang juggles the tiny mana items around his free hand, showing off his final build. Completely blown away by the glitchy scene, the dark-haired fighter widens her eyes, trying to process the kid's insane stats. Amazed by the rare quality of the extract, the woman inspects one up close and spots the exclusive watermarks proving it has an ultra-high purity tier. The older lady privately guesses the old master must have been hiding an actual Smurf account under his wing this whole time, without telling the guild. Milking the verified win, the guy tries to skip the dialogue, asking if he's finally unlocked to go play support on the front lanes. But the leader acts super toxic and steps up, poking him right in the chest, warning him with zero chill that the fast travel is denied. The MC gets totally frustrated, realizing she has zero intention of unblocking him so he can finally extract. The tense chat gets brutally interrupted when a massive explosion wrecks a huge chunk of the building right behind them, making the whole map shake. Coughing a ton because of the thick particle effects, Yi Zhang tries to shield his face and spot anything in the new rubble. Launched violently across the room, the completely 0 HP body of old man Wu crashes onto the floor, totally clapped by the outdoor raid. Right after, a scary-looking invader pushes through the dust cloud and steps heavily on the down boomer's back. Holding a massive heavy sword, the tank-build fighter named Bailey 2 mocks how squishy the local guild is and glares at the final two players in the room. Dodging back one step on pure instinct, the kid curses his RNG for running into a dangerously overleveled player right during his escape. With pure troll energy, Huang Tianmei points out the big guy's sweaty aggro and says he looks absolutely nothing like a clean, righteous paladin. Tilted by the direct flame, the invader shoots back furiously, claiming that using hardcore strats is the only valid meta to deal with toxic players like them. Dragging his monster blade across the broken floor, Bailey 2 pushes forward looking scary, stating there's no more chat window left, just a deathmatch till the end. Instead of backing down from the huge level gap, the woman steps up, popping her mind control aura with a bright purple glow, wanting to test the enemy's resolve up close. Caught totally off guard by the illusion spell, the veteran fighter's face turns red and he yields nicely to the enemy's voice lines. From a distance, the kid is super impressed by the power of that physical skill that managed to hack the brain of a boss like that so fast. Pulling her outfit down in a teasing emote, she celebrates early, claiming they can finally patch this raid using diplomacy. Totally muted, the big guy walks toward her in a deep stun, looking completely hypnotized by the purple smoke. But in a totally unscripted lethal counter, Bailey 2 unleashes a crushing heavy attack with his sword, forcing the warrior to block the frame with her tiny dagger. Knocked back by the raw power of the hit, she widens her eyes, unable to figure out how her CC spell failed in one frame. Ripping off his own armor aggressively, the fighter reveals he deleted his own physical desire code a long time ago just to be immune to this exact type of attack. Wrapped in a highly dangerous orange aura, the man yells with pure hatred that he sacrificed his own avatar back in the day solely to wipe her guild off them. Mind blown by the insane lore drop, Yi Zheng realizes the self-proclaimed paladins of the light are actual ruthless psychopaths, even to their own builds. Recovering from the heavy knockback, the woman gets her confidence back and warns that resisting the intro illusion doesn't mean he already won the match. Ignoring the troll comment, the enraged fighter rushes in again, dropping another brutal combo with the blind goal of crushing her hitbox right there. Focusing purely on melee DPS, he pops a hardcore buff that makes his character model inflate absurdly under a glowing flame effect. With terrifying speed, the massive enemy unleashes a brutal string of fast attacks that the older lady barely parries using pure dodge mechanics. Staring at his prey with a deranged look, Bailey 2 flames her, saying his power level is way higher and warning that her cheap tricks will never deal damage. With an earth-shattering roar, he lands a devastating AoE attack that swallows the enemy whole in a massive magic explosion, declaring she's out of stamina to keep playing. Taking the heavy dark shockwave straight on, the woman gets launched across the hallway, letting out a painful damage sound. Seeing the top-tier warrior lose the melee trade so badly, the kid figures the lobby just went way past the level cap and decides to sprint for cover immediately. Not happy with just dealing damage, the massive invader uses a giant jump skill, planning to stick his weapon right into the stone floor. With a tectonic crash, the blade pieces the ground, instantly triggering a magic circle packed with huge chains linked to floating rocks. Totally toxic, the veteran celebrates on global chat, warning that all the clout and glory for wiping this villain base will belong purely to him. Hurt and leaking a ton of red from her mouth, Huang Tianmei stays stun-locked in the middle of the room, unable to glitch out of the array's glowing locks. Trapped in the same quarantine zone, the MC clenches his teeth, blaming these nosy idiots for dragging him into an unavoidable game over. Pumped by the danger adrenaline, Yi Zheng summons his new red spirit sword, focused on cutting the ropes before the timer runs out. Spamming all the mana from his low-level core, he launches a flurry of fast slashes against the light barrier, making a ton of sparks fly everywhere. The invader laughs at the blind confidence, rating it hilarious that a kid with such trash stats genuinely thinks he can put a scratch on a massive array like that. Turning his back on the kid's useless spam and focusing on the down leader, Bailey 2 promises he'll use her as a sacrifice and then do the exact same to the boy. Shaking under the heavy debuff from the shield, Yi Zheng sweats bullets, realizing he's out of standard escape items and starts scanning for a desperate exploit. Opening his hands slowly and staring at his fingers, he locks onto the bunch of glowing pills he just crafted perfectly in the previous room. In a crazy split second of pure reckless logic, the guy figures that forcing a painful level up by chugging all the orbs is the only viable strat left. Without checking the severe recoil damage of an overdose, the kid tosses all 5 units straight down his throat, feeling the green magic instantly flood his dilated pupils. Detecting the massive mana spike in the room, Huang Tianmei is amazed to see the kid absorbing everything to force a level up right in the middle of the raid. Super arrogant, the massive invader lets out a laugh and asks if the kid seriously thinks hitting this new stage will be enough to 1v1 him. Dashing in for the attack with his heavy sword, Bailey 2 claims he has zero fear of anything, but he still can't let the kid finish the casting bar. The raw impact of the blade smashes right into Yi Zhang's mana shield, sending a massive shockwave through the room. Watching everything unable to press a button, the woman regrets her illusion skill is totally useless in this meta, leaving her only to pray the MC can clutch the round. Deep in his mental UI, the guy finally feels his level cap breaking and his mana starts flowing. But he quickly figures out raw stats aren't enough to save his HP. He desperately needs combat skills to combo with this new power. Wasting 0 frames, the MC clicks right into the tech jail and orders his prisoners to stop lagging and transfer their guild's skill trees to him ASAP. Radiating rebellion, Lanjai denies the request instantly, calling him delusional for thinking they'd buff an enemy player. But the disciple's toxic attitude changes when she notices a glitch happening in the adjacent cell. In a flash, energy beams zap the girl's avatar, making her scream in panic from the system's hardcore penalty. Salty, she demands to know what the MC did to her master, and he just replies with zero emotion that hell use raw power to purge the leader since they refused to co-op. Locked down to the max and panting, Bai Ningbing begs him to cancel the script and promises to upload the Fluid Cloud Sword guide instantly, making her submission meter spike hard. With the new skill equipped, Yi Zhang deeply absorbs the technique's patch notes, syncing his avatar and brain with the guide's hidden code. In a sudden spawn, the kid opens his eyes radiating an intense glow, proving he fully downloaded all the required data. The devastating aura of his awakening completely deletes the magic chains, catching the big invader totally off guard. Standing tall and wrapped in a spiritual wind, the MC finally hits layer 1 of his new cultivation tier. Trembling from the pressure in the room, Bailey 2 wonders in a panic if an aura this oppressive is actually the standard for a level up like that. Trying to get the match back under control, the veteran charges at Huang Tianmei, calling the woman a noob for dropping her guard during a PvP. Unable to dodge on time, the older lady gets grazed by the wind blade, groaning in pain as the hitbox registers. Exploiting the only window she saw, she counters fast and hits a magic beam straight into the enemy. Sliding across the floor after the desperate skill shot, the warrior tries to keep her spacing from the furious boss. Checking the damage on his avatar, Bailey 2 clenches his teeth feeling the duty tick, but the attack isn't enough to wipe him. Taken over by pure rage, the fighter pops all his remaining mana and lets out an ear-shattering war cry to try and end the match. But suddenly, Yi Zhang steps into the lane holding his red blade, dropping a voice line that it's time to finally close out this raid. The system quickly drops a dark skill for the kid, and he confidently figures he only needs 1 stamina bar to win the trade. Without backing up, Bailey 2 launches himself through the air violently, telling the kid to log out of the server for good. Flashing a troll smile, the MC pops his new sacrifice art without missing a frame. Instantly, a massive red aura explodes from Yi Zhang's model, leaving the invader stunned by the sudden stat boost. Keeping a cool and lethal posture, the kid throws up a hand sign and triggers the first stance of the combo downloaded from the prisoner. Seeing the red energy closing in, the veteran invader clicks his tongue in disgust, calculating that it shouldn't deal any critical damage. Locking onto the target with aimbot precision, Yi Zhang finishes the ultimate animation, dumping all his stored mana into one exclusive slash. However, the sacrifice recoil hits instantly, and the MC crashes to the floor coughing from the massive stamina drain. Watching the kid drop, the older lady sighs totally defeated, regretting she was a noob for thinking he'd carry them and guessing this is actually her game over screen. Slow walking toward the down kid, Bailey 2 demands to know how a casual player unlocked the hidden skills of a rival guild. Tilted by the silence, the veteran readies a finisher to end the chat quickly. Suddenly, the attack's debuff kicks in from the inside out, and the invader coughs up red, shocked to realize a hit of that tier was impossible for the kid. Unable to tank the massive crowd control, the big guy's avatar gets pierced by a brutal hit, and he drops dead on the rubble floor. The crazy plot twist makes the warrior's eyes widen in absolute shock. Kneeling on the rocks, she stares at the downed invader and mumbles quietly, trying to believe the big boss actually got wiped. While Yi Zhang tries to stay standing by taking deep breaths, the woman stays mind-blown that a new spawn just deleted someone so tanky. The extreme tryharding charges its fee again, and the kid spits red, frustrated to see that not even his special build can auto-heal the recoil of that ultimate right away. Completely out of mana and with his HP bar flashing red, the MC loses connection and faceplants forward. Moving fast, Huang Tianmei catches him in her arms with a charmed smile, confirming the little paladin just got a ton of her attention. The camera pans way far from there, showing the epic mountain fortress of the righteous sect. The quiet of the majestic sanctuary gets broken when a messenger runs in completely panicking. Flaming the NPC for skipping the emote check, the guild leader turns his back and asks what's with all the lag. Stuttering in fear, the minion reports that the soul trackers for the cleric Bailey 2 and his great-grandson just went offline. Hearing the tragic patch notes, the Grand Master's face twists with rage and his oppressive aura starts leaking through the lobby. Validating the wipe, the magic item shatters violently into red flames. Hijacked by fury, the leader screams sarcastically, congratulating the guts of whoever pulled off that toxic play. He demands to know the griefer's gamertag immediately, and the minion only manages to report that both got sent to the lobby at the enemy base. Spamming curses at the rival sect with everything he's got, the veteran rants furiously about his premium fighters getting deleted. Radiating a lethal aura through the sanctuary, he swears hell make the enemy team pay a massive premium for that disrespect. Just then, a second cleric walks up asking for a chill pill, suggesting a temporary ceasefire would be the meta right now since both sides took heavy team wipes. The commander asks angrily if the mentor actually expects him to tank all this salt and just skip the revenge quest. Rocking a scary look, Cleric Yin explains his strat to fake a peace treaty just so the enemy guild drops their guard. Using a private voice channel so no one else hears, the mentor details the toxic trap right into the boss's headset. Happy with the backstab strat, the master hits accept on the idea and thanks the subordinate for the big brain play. Turning around right after, the leader changes the topic, claiming he has another high-priority quest for the ally to handle in stealth mode. Refusing to forgive the bans, the master orders his sleeper agents to log in and delete the target no matter what. Immediately, the hooded NPC bows and promises to execute the bosses, commands with max toxicity. Far away, a dark wind blows hard over the ruins of the isolated mountain fort. Night finally drops over the front lane, bringing a short pause for the players who survived the massive Zerg rush. Carrying the disconnected Yi Zheng, the elder orders the guards to buff the defenses while she gets the ping that the raid is over. Stressed about the kid's critical HP, a minion offers to carry him to the healers, but the leader rejects the party invite instantly. Keeping a poker face, the woman warns Shell personally handle his respawn timer and walks into the room. With her purple aura pulsing slightly, she carries the boy through the hallways to a zone completely isolated from the rest of the server. Outside, the disciple flashes a toxic smile and drops a mock emote seeing the boss go AFK with the kid. The salty woman tells her squad that the new spawn definitely won't survive the elder's dangerous methods, but spending a session with her is probably worth the grind. Safe inside the VIP room, Huang Tianmei drops the kid on the bed and declares he's priority number 1 right this second. Leaning over the guy's model with pure malice, she whispers that she's gonna data mine all the hidden stats he's hiding. Gently touching Yi Zheng's damaged chest, she marvels at the weird passives and the green autoheal energy his avatar is leaking. Totally hyped, the warrior pops her mind control skill and her eyes glow bright to deep scan his spiritual code. The invasive mental hack makes the MC clench his teeth in pain, while the system throws a critical error warning that his firewall is crashing fast. Trapped by the pink magic, Yi Zheng realizes Huang Tianmei is using dark arts to scan his entire build. Speaking in a chill tone, the woman tells him to drop the block button because the loading bar isn't done yet, while the system warns she has 0 aggro, meaning he can't use the capture tool. Sweating bullets from the RNG, the kid decides he absolutely cannot let the boss data mine his files under any circumstances. With no options in the real world, he quickly switches to the tech UI and sprints straight to confront by Ningbing and Xiao Lanjai. Wasting 0 frames, the MC demands they share the guild's female-only cultivation guide, confusing the disciple over the random quest request. Tilted by the lag, he tells them to skip the filler dialogue and hit accept, which makes the former leader agree with a troll's smile, warning she doesn't care if he wants to trigger his own game over. The proud warrior explains the skill is hard-locked to female avatars, and if a male tries to equip it, his mana flow will run in complete reverse. Hearing about the dangerous reverse flow, the kid gets super hyped, rating the glitch as top tier. Grabbing the prisoner suddenly, he celebrates that this is exactly the bug he needs right now, leaving the woman totally shocked by the suicidal strat. Thinking this troll is trying to permanently corrupt his own save file, the former leader asks him to let go and agrees to trade the manual with no resistance. Back in the physical lobby, the older lady mumbles happily, claiming she's just a few bytes away from decoding everything the kid is hiding. But right at that exact frame, Yi Zheng activates the band skill with max power, projecting a massive crushing force. The sudden code change creates a heavy spiritual shockwave that knocks the woman backward. Jump scared by the recoil, the warrior realizes in panic that the kid's mana is flowing in the exact opposite direction of the meta build. This weird glitch causes a massive direct collision with the woman's code, forcing her to try and cancel her own casting animation fast before taking damage. Freed from the heavy CC, the MC falls into a sitting animation and coughs a ton to get his stamina bar back. Checking the damage logs, he sees the crazy exploit damaged his internal hardware, but he's relieved he managed to block the boss's invasive scan. However, looking ahead, the guy notices the older lady's status icon is looking really weird. Panting and shaking, the woman leans on the floor, completely hijacked by the recoil debuff of her own cancelled spell. Totally defenseless and with a blurry UI, she asks in a flirty voice if the kid thinks her character model is pretty. Wiping his damaged face, Yi Zhang is shocked to decode that she lost control of her own desires because of the spell collision. Stressed about the incoming danger, he begs the woman to chill, while the room glows with a bright magic light that leaks out to the porch. Far from that room, a squad of invaders picks up a magic ping, confirming the target who deleted their young master is camping right there. Gripping his sharp blade, one of the masked guys decides to breach the room instantly to zero the kid's HP. But the squad leader yanks the minion back hard, ordering him to cancel the animation right now. The boss flames the reckless play, warning that the heavy aura coming from downstairs belongs to a high-tier player with a super dangerous build. Glaring at the noob, he asks if the idiot seriously thinks he could push without pulling that op woman's aggro. Crafting a big brain strat, the veteran guesses a low HP fighter won't survive long near a boss like that, deciding that camping until she extracts is the optimal play. Right then, 2 more players spawn on the adjacent roof, and the boss pings the support to join the camping squad. With the full party stacked, he announces they'll rush together as soon as the woman logs off, promising the raid will be a super easy speedrun. Meanwhile, in the isolated room, Huang Tianmei keeps losing her connection to reality and spams out-of-control voice lines. Completely taken over by her own spell, the warrior falls back onto the bed unable to keep her idle animation. Seeing the dangerous setup, Yi Zhang swallows hard and confirms the buffs from that specific build are actually terrifying. Equipping his gear slowly, the MC sighs and tries to find a useful exploit for all this nonsense. Flexing a bright aura in his hands, he celebrates that the stress actually helped him force a level up, calling the whole mess a massive hidden draw. Lying on the messy bed, the older lady just watches him with heavy eyes and a lazy pose. With a soft voice, she praises the kid's unique stats and asks if he's really planning to grief her by leaving the loot of that build behind. Not knowing how to safely reply, the young guy stays at a distance, making sure to keep his block button held down. Faking max respect, he bows, dropping an apology emote and swears he has zero intention of flaming her, but the woman warns it's way too late for a rewind. Adjusting herself in the sheets, the boss locks onto the prey and straight up asks what his next move is. Flashing a nervous smile, the kid tries to troll by asking if the lady wants him to play tank to guarantee she gets VIP buffs in the guild. Amused by the pure noob energy, she squishes the kid's face, warning him he has zero clue how serious the meta is, and he asks for the wiki link immediately. Getting serious, the warrior sighs remembering her high rank and asks if he actually thinks she holds her admin spot just by using cosmetic skins. The woman explains that almost everyone who spawns with this rare trait ends up getting turned into basic exp farming tools for other players to boost their stats. Keeping the mystery vibe in the chat, she asks if the new spawn can guess who the massive admin is that's been camping her for a long time. Instantly, the terrifying render of the sect commander pops into Yi Zhang's head, confirming the dev behind all this is the Grand Master Xiao Yaozi. The kid's eyes go blank as he realizes how complex the chessboard he just walked onto really is. Getting super close to the guy, the warrior asks if he finally gets the scale of the raid he pulled by teaming up with her. Dropping a sarcastic smile, the MC trolls the setup, saying he thought she was only stressed about private DMs instead of fearing the boss's banhammer. Annoyed by the badly timed joke, she looks away and claims her bad ending was already scripted to be handed to the boss anyway. Determined to clear the bug, the woman points out they now have to manage the recoil, betting on the kid's potential to out-DPS the faction leader later on. Lifting his chin affectionately, she admits that handing all her loot over to a talented kid feels like a choice she's super happy with. Scratching his nose awkwardly, Yi Zhang gets confused and mentally asks himself why he has this weird feeling he's getting trolled by her again. Swapping strats, he puts his hands together faking a sad emote, and complains that his low-level stats are absolutely useless for tanking for someone that high tier. Playing the control game, the older lady hugs him from behind looking super shy, and hints they still have plenty of uptime for him to carry her in cultivation. While the room gets steamy on the inside, the invader squad keeps camping on the next roof, waiting in stealth mode in the dark. Out of patience, one of the grunts complains they've been AFK for hours, and the sun skybox is about to load in. Tilted by the lack of focus, the boss orders them to camp a bit longer and declares that if the target doesn't walk out soon, they'll breach the room by force. Everyone hits confirm on the game plan, while the first sun rays slightly render on the camp's roof tiles. Inside the room, the warrior is fully geared up again, crossing her arms and flexing all her salt, flaming the kid for being a noob who doesn't know how to handle a female NPC. Suddenly, the woman stops ranting when she detects an out-of-bounds movement coming from outside. Outside, the masked players lose their patience and leap from stealth under the moonlight straight toward the safe house. Spotting the intruders pushing, the older lady guesses the base's firewall is absolute trash, but figures this distraction is perfect for right now. Watching the kid focused on his red mana region, she decides internally that if he can't even manage some low-level mobs, he definitely doesn't deserve a party invite. Finishing the healing cast successfully, Yi Zheng opens his eyes glowing bright after hitting another dense level cap. Standing up full of stamina, the kid clenches his fists celebrating that he's now way more buffed to 1v1 the final boss when the time comes. The victory emote gets cancelled when the wooden door gets violently breached by the armed invaders. Scanning the room fast, the raid leader celebrates that the target is playing solo and orders a one-shot rush to secure the payback. Showing zero trace of panic, the kid equips his scary crimson sword, instantly reading the guild tag on that annoying squad. Holding his blade hungry for PvP, he happily announces that these NPCs spawned at the perfect time to act as a DPS check. With an insane dash, the MC pushes like a green lightning bolt across the room, leaving the enemy squad stun-locked by his broken agility. Confident in his team's stats, the commander refuses to back up and lines up a heavy attack, thinking the trade will drop good loot. The two hitboxes collide, spawning a colossal energy explosion that forces the wooden floor to shatter completely into pixels. The resulting shockwave hits the grunts head-on, launching all the invaders super far with zero resistance. Walking out of the dust cloud with zero damage, the MC throws a look of pure boredom and trolls them, saying their ping is way too high for his current tier. Exploiting the open window, Yi Zheng dashes and lands a lethal hit on an invader without giving him a frame to block. Immediately, the system UI pings that the sword absorbed enough exp and started its evolution, making the guy notice the skin change on his weapon. With the sword's upgrade bar filling fast, the item demands even more raw HP to keep the animation going. Watching the scene terrified, another squad member warns that the kid has a top-tier relic and tells his teammates to pop a battle formation. But the MC spawns right in front of his camera in a flash, confirming he has zero intention of letting them cast anything. Unable to pop his shield, the player eats a direct slash and lets out a scream of heavy damage, dropping to the floor. Seeing their teammate get critical damage, the other fighters panic and yell for their down boss. The UI shows the evolution hit 50%, while the enemies flame the kid, calling him a soulless hacker. Determined not to let the feed go to waste, the invaders start casting their big magic array while Yi Zheng watches closely. A massive magic frame renders in, channeling dark energy, forcing the MC to identify the spell's code instantly. Analyzing the energy signature that matches his old enemies perfectly, he laughs and asks if this cheap strat is really the meta for guilds that call themselves righteous. Then the camera swaps to the tech jail where Xiao Lanjai is locked down by CC chains. The guy warns he's gonna summon her to the real world to tank some aggro, but the girl refuses to play support for a player she considers a griefer. Instantly, the system drops a painful electric shock penalty, making the disciple scream in panic, demanding he leave her master out of this. Staring the hostage down, the kid makes it clear she has zero dialogue options to bargain and just commands her to finish the quest. Yielding to the debuff, the girl drops her head feeling cringe and just asks him to at least drop some cosmetic gear for her. The UI quickly confirms the reform meter went up, auto-equipping the prisoner with a fresh uniform. As an instant drop for her submission, the system upgrades the user's hidden stats again, leaving him amazed by the random RNG buff. Back in the physical lobby, the invaders notice the bright green glow and decide to overclock the spell, thinking the target should have been wiped by now. Suddenly, the red blade clips through space in a super-fast dash straight toward the enemy stack. The surprise attack catches everyone without their shields up, and one of the attackers tries to ping the team right before the hit. Giving zero chance to flash away, the weapon lands a direct hit, creating a massive boom that heavily damages the player. With the sword's evolution hitting 70%, the MC slowwalks peacefully, announcing their free trial is over and now it's his turn to play. Sweating bullets, the raid leader finally realizes the rumors about this kid's broken stats were 100% legit. The injured minion crawls on the floor, assuring the boss he still has HP to keep fighting and carry the downed teammates. Taking the front line, the boss confirms the quest needs to be cleared no matter the cost. Channeling a super dense green aura around his model, the veteran pops a hidden art to buff his stats to a golden core level for a short timer. Pushing the offensive with insane speed, the enemy leader tries to land a hit, but the kid parries the heavy punch using his weapon. Pressing the attack with pure salt, the fighter forces the MC backward, trying to crush his hitbox any way he can. The brutal collision of auras triggers a massive explosion in the room, totally wrecking the floor around them. Walking out of the smoke, the raid leader praises the kids tryharding for surviving a trade with a level way above his class. Radiating mana, the fighter challenges the opponent to keep going and dashes rapidly across them. Searching for the stealth target, the enemy boss rants, calling the kid a camper and demanding a 1v1. Just then, the veteran coughs red out of nowhere and realizes he took a quick slash, guessing the mystic relic drained his mana to level up. Holding the now fully transformed sword, Yi Zhang shows massive hype while the system confirms he unlocked a new dark skill. He sarcastically praises the enemy's block, knowing his new attack has armor piercing against any type of shield. Rejecting the troll comment, the invader charges his aura and warns his cultivation also leveled up along with his physical buffs. Ignoring the warning, the MC locks into a solid stance and leaks a lethal red aura to set up the counter. With an unforgiving combo, the kid launches a devastating shockwave that knocks the leader super far. Dumping all his sacrificed HP into the blade, the kid calls out the name of his newest ultimate attack. The red energy takes the terrifying shape of a giant demon boss that charges roaring at the enemy. Trying to tank the broken skill, the veteran summons a massive gold shield to protect his avatar. Shaking in panic, the squad leader overclocks all his stats to keep the magic barrier up against the raw impact. The attack's DPS shreds the enemy's armor, forcing the aggressor to drop to his knees and cough heavily, but he still finds the breath to laugh at the screen. Guessing the kid dumped his entire mana bar on that attack, the fighter calls GG, not noticing Zio Lanjai spawning in stealth right behind him. Acting fast, the summoned girl casts multiple magic roots that CC the invader before he can even turn his camera. Completely stun-locked by the binds, the enemy boss identifies the famous warrior of the rival guild instantly. Super happy with the hostage's assist, Yi Zhang slow walks up and orders his sword to finish the prompt. Answering the ping, the cursed weapon shoots several drain cords at the target, causing hardcore duty to the guy. Keeping a straight face during the invader's punishment, the disciple asks one more time for the kid to unban her master. With the system showing the reform is 50% done, he grabs her face all possessive, promising he'd never grief his premium loot. On the ruined floor, the raid leader's body completely logs out after having his HP drained to 0. Suddenly, a tiny green magic gem pops out of the defeated player's inventory, flying away on its own. The crystal flashes a bright light before cracking and shattering into multiple pixels in the air. Staring at the shards confused, the girl hears the kid drop a sarcastic comment that her playthrough won't be on easy mode anymore. Flexing a villain vibe, the disciple explains that the gem recorded the entire PvP match, and the enemy guild will definitely camp the kid's spawn endlessly. Treating the threat like whatever, he agrees that's a bug, but throws in her face that this recording will also completely tank her guild's clout. The MC points out the whole server will see that the top student turned into his basic maid, making the girl curse in pure salt. Losing all her comebacks, the hostage just takes a step back, trying to swallow the cringe of that public humiliation. Lifting her face again, the kid orders her to watch her tone when chatting with him, reminding her who holds the admin rights now. The dialogue gets cut off when one of the base's guards runs in panicking to report the enemy raid. Right behind him, another fighter spawns, asking what happened and noticing the invaders caused massive damage to the map. But the guy stops his voice line instantly when he locks his crosshairs on a very flashy detail in the scene. The veteran spots Zio Lanjai immediately, knowing perfectly well the massive bounty on that hostage. Tagged as the cleric's oldest disciple, he bosses up and asks why the kid has the master's prisoner, only getting a troll emote as a reply. Showing off his battle scars, the MC suggests the so-called guard should focus on figuring out how the enemies breached the zone so easily. Tilted by the noob's disrespect, the veteran grabs the MC's collar, telling him to stop trying to deflect the chat. Rocking an aggro stance, the man demands the kid hand over the woman right now if he doesn't want to catch a ban. Showing zero signs of fear, Yi Zhang charges his red aura in his palm, getting ready for round 2. Radiating a super intense lethal aura, the kid mocks the threat and challenges the veteran to flex all his toxic behavior. Seeing the danger meter spiking fast, the guard next to him tries to chill his partner out, pointing out this isn't the time for friendly fire. Without waiting for the enemy to cast, the MC unleashes a strong wind blast, ordering the duo to log out of there instantly. The impact gets cancelled by a loud, firm voice line echoing through the ruined room. Pulling everyone's camera to the hallway, Elder Huang Tianmei walks into the zone with absolute boss energy. Stopping in front of the players, the leader asks what all this lag is about, while the veteran points at the kid, accusing him of griefing. The veteran points angrily at Yi Zhang, claiming the troll went AFK on his guard duty, let the invaders in, and even blamed him for stealing his cauldron. Listening to the report, Huang Tianmei just sighs, showing she is totally out of patience with all this random drama. With 0 warning frames, the leader blasts a heavy purple aura that throws the guard super far, annoyed that he tried to frame his own guildmate. Pinned to the floor by the crushing magic, the guy begs for a revive, admitting his misplay and asking what his penalty is. Keeping her ruthless vibe, she orders him to clean up the messy textures and to spawn the bodies scattered around the room immediately. The minion instantly starts dragging the downed players out of the room, while the MC watches everything looking extremely satisfied. Dragging the heavy models, the guard shoots a look packed with salt, mentally swearing this quest is far from over. Reading the opponent's hostile intent, the kid stays chill and figures he'll be waiting for the rematch. With the bug fixed, the older lady turns around to leave the ruined zone, giving the hostage Xiao Lanjai a massive wave of relief. Walking down the hall, the woman mentions she didn't expect to see the kid with such a high-tier cauldron, praising his skill at hiding his real stats. She confirms that premium items require a lot of mana to stay hidden, making it clear his tool fits that meta perfectly. Getting super close to the kid's face, the warrior drops a flirty warning that the same rule applies to her, making him tense up. Turning to leave, the boss tells the kid to regen his stamina, because tomorrow she's handing him a super high-level quest to clear. The MC nods on mute while watching the woman walk away down the dark hallway along with his captured disciple. Acting docile for the first time, Lanjai bows her head and drops a thanks to the MC, admitting her ending would have been awful if she got dragged away by that toxic, greedy guard. At that second, the HUD shows the girl's reform hit 60%, rewarding the guy with a passive that absorbs nature energy to auto-heal damage. Super hyped about the premium drop, Yizhang trolls her, saying she is way easier to tame than her Grand Master, leaving the girl totally confused by the voice line. Far away from there, a dark wind rustles the cape of an intimidating boss, signaling that bad patch notes just hit the enemy fort. On a wooden desk, multiple soul trackers go dark and crack on their own, confirming a whole squad just got wiped. The leader of the Xuanling sect clenches his teeth and blasts a crushing green aura, hijacked by rage after reading the disaster log. Ranting through the main lobby, the Supreme Master flames all his minions, calling the squad absolute trash. Furious, he asks how 5 veteran players failed to clear such a basic tutorial quest on the enemy border. Trying to cool the boss's aggro, a hooded cleric asks him not to stay so tilted over the RNG. The old mentor pops a magic replay gem, revealing the final kill cam broadcasted by the downed players. The dark smoke clearly renders Yizhang's face, unleashing his devastating ultimate, instantly tagging him as a rival guild member. Besides the kid, the replay also shows the famous disciple Xiao Lanjai watching everything in panic right behind him. Analyzing the VOD, the leader figures that even with a rogue support, it would be mathematically impossible for that kid to solo his elite stealth squad. Agreeing with the boss, the cleric pings the red blade in the target's hand, claiming it's a super high-tier spiritual relic. The Supreme Master zooms in and asks exactly what theory the mentor is trying to push with that weapon check. Flexing a big brain look, the hooded guy guesses an item of that tier proves the kid is the rival sect's hidden legendary. Sitting on his throne, the veteran nods that this lore makes total sense and explains the absurd DPS the target just showed. He points out guilds always use cosmetics to hide their heirs' real tags and equip them with premium gear to guarantee they survive in stealth. In a super hyped tone, the cleric congratulates the commander, who fails to decode why they are celebrating such an embarrassing team wipe. Flashing a toxic smile, the mentor explains that exposing the rival's future heir gives them a massive trump card to stealth grief and permaban the threat for good. Loving the genius combo, the leader rocks an evil look and asks if Hell need to get his own hands dirty to clear this bug. The hooded guy swears there's no need, suggesting a fake temporary ceasefire so they can exploit the Grand Guild tournament to delete the pest in pure stealth. The strat heavily pleases the boss, who praises mentor Yin's IQ and trusts him with the entire assassination quest. Walking out to the balcony under the moonlight, the Supreme Master pings all the players in the fort with a booming voice. Announcing the end of the war event, he orders an instant recall for all squads and swears the rival heir will get wiped from the server during the tournament. While the danger gets coded in the shadows, Yizhang drops a super loud sneeze in the comfort of his base room. Wiping his confused nose, the MC wonders how it's mathematically possible for someone of his level to catch a cold debuff so randomly. Dropping the paranoia, he decides to focus on the main quest and sits on the floor to beta test the effects of his new life-structuring art. Wrapped in an intense green aura, the kid recites the spell's code, syncing his spirit with the infinite loop of life and nature. The magic flows through the room with heavy particle effects, lighting up an old wooden chair sitting in the corner. Answering the raw vitality ping, the dead props start sprouting fresh leaves and branches like an absolute glitch. Monitoring the skill closely, the MC realizes the energy doesn't just interact with nature, it aggressively drains life force like a pure parasite. A fascinated emote takes over his face as he verifies the destructive, devastating power he just downloaded from the system. Completely drained of its HP, the previously buffed chair now withers and turns to dust in seconds. Channeling the green energy in his palm, he realizes he has the admin rights to vamp the life force of any living mob on the server to heal himself. Watching that creepy cutscene, Lanjai flames him, calling him shameless for using such toxic spells, and he sarcastically replies that this was just the loot he got for capturing her. Suddenly, a blue UI pops up notifying him that the skill has a dual cultivation mode, promising broken stat boosts if performed with someone of the exact same element. With his eyes completely hijacked by malice, the kid figures the perfect co-op partner is already standing right in front of him, making the girl back up in panic, asking what he's planning to do. With a fast dash that gives 0 frames to block, Yi Zhang tackles the disciple onto the bed, pinning her arms to cancel any escape animation. Flexing his admin aura, he warns she's gonna help him power level his stats tonight, while the girl mashes buttons trying to break free. In total panic, she begs him to hit cancel, but both their silhouettes merge under the low candlelight rendering of the room. After a massive night of hardcore grinding, the girl rests with 0 stamina, covered only by a soft sheet. Overflowing with reset mana, the MC clenches his fists and celebrates that the exclusive method forced him to break another level cap with huge success. Adjusting the sheet to cover up, the hostage yells angrily, calling him a scammer and swearing hell catch a bad ending for exploiting her like that. Gently holding the salty girl's chin, he promises the grind-dropped buffs for both of them and tells her to check her own stats before reporting him. Completely stunned by the UI check, Lanjai starts glowing green and realizes a chunk of her locked mana just respawned magically. Staying close, the kid explains the mana didn't just regen on its own, it got restored by his energy, guaranteeing that spamming this event will speed up her recovery big time. Sliding his thumb smoothly over the girl's bottom lip, he triggers her hidden desire to get her full power level back. With her face totally red, Lanjai decides internally she's gonna grind her stats back ASAP so she can tank for her master again. Taking the aggro aggressively, the disciple pushes the MC back onto the mattress, warning that one run wasn't enough. Sitting on him with massive urgency, the woman declares that just one stage of dual cultivation didn't give her the exp drop she actually needs. At dawn the next day, the camp spawns peacefully under the sunlight after all the destructive PvP from the night before. Pushing the room's door open hard, Leader Tianmei walks in asking why his ping is so high, reminding him they scheduled a hardcore raid for today. Spotting the random intrusion, the disciple hides in panic under the bedsheets trying to pop stealth from the boss. The MC spawns covered in kiss decals and sweating bullets, loading up the weak excuse that he spent the whole night grinding solo. Glaring at the scene with a furious and totally dark look, the elder loses all patience and orders him to log out of that room right now. Once outside, she drops a heavy mute, saying she warned him to log off early, but the kid just drops a nervous laugh claiming he was purely prepping for the big event. To prove he isn't trolling, Yi Zhang flexes his dense mana aura, leaving the boss in shock when she notices he leveled up again. Shooting a quick glance at the exhausted girl in the bed, Tianmei wonders privately if the hostage also has a mystic build perfectly coded for mana drain. Exploiting her lag, the kid boldly grabs the elder's curves and asks in a troll tone if she's getting jealous of his co-op session inside. Jump scared by his toxic play, the woman freezes, while he flexes his confidence asking if she's finally ready to queue up against the Supreme Master. Lanjai stays in absolute shock, trying to decode what kind of insane lore this troll has to actually link up with Elder Tianmei. Giving up on reading the meta, the girl just drops a heavy sigh and decides to skip that cutscene for now. Meanwhile, the leader tells the MC to bring his new maid along, claiming today's event requires them to flex on some NPCs. He drops a confident smile and asks if she genuinely thought the achievement for soloing the big invader would only drop a few generic, good job voice lines. Promising that after today his rank in the guild is gonna completely change, the camera cuts to the faction's massive lobby packed with rendered disciples. In the middle of the mob, the fighters whisper among themselves about why the elder suddenly pinged everyone for a major server announcement. One of the noobs points out to veteran Zhao that this lobby must be for promoting new admins, since the old room mod just got wiped in the raid. Simping for his partner, another disciple claims with max confidence that the veteran is the meta pick to take over the main slot in the alchemy hub. Flexing his greed, Zhao declares that no matter what loot the leader drops, he's gonna make that pretty boy pay a heavy premium today. Right then, the boss-tier Elder Tianmei walks through the lobby with total dominance, escorted closely by Yi Zhang and his captured maid. The woman's spawn instantly pulls the aggro of every guy in the room, who stand there completely stunned by her beauty and character model. Totally hypnotized, they drop comments on how the leader seems to have an even more leveled up and dangerous passive aura this morning. With zero patience for the whisper chat, she walks up the podium steps and demands global mute with a booming voice line. Taking the mic in front of the focused mob, the warrior announces she grouped everyone up to drop a super important patch note. She recaps that the guild took a heavy hit recently, but balanced the KD ratio by dominating and deleting the scary invader from the rival team. Because of the massive HP drops on both sides, the leader calmly announces that the big rival guilds hit except on a temporary ceasefire. The ping brings an instant wave of relief to the fighters, who celebrate happily that they don't have to play frontline cannon fodder anymore. Switching back to serious tone, the elder says RIP to the old room mod who got wiped during the push, stating that the main admin slot is currently empty. Instantly, the simps around Zhao start spamming GZ in advance, convinced the veteran is the guaranteed pick. Faking extreme humility, the guy thanks them for the upvotes and promises he'll still need a lot of support from his guildmates later on. But countering all the predictions, the leader announces loudly that Yi Zhang is the new temporary mod with full admin rights over the hub. Caught a bit off guard by the direct ping, the MC figures the woman is being way too flashy with this public tag. The mob goes into total shock, spamming the chat asking how a level 1 noob with zero playtime can get mod status out of nowhere. Hijacked by Salt, veteran Zhao stomps to the front of the pack and warns the leader she better drop some lore explaining this toxic decision. He claims he was constantly boosted by the old master and spent the last 15 years grinding and managing every single quest in this zone flawlessly. Pointing his finger angrily at the kid, he flames him in front of everyone, saying the noob spawned just a few days ago and has absolutely zero stats to handle this role. Not even flinching at the reports, the woman stares at the kid and declares his admin rights are purely based on his DPS, ordering him not to throw her game. Decoding the trap, the young guy sighs frustrated, realizing she only gave him this VIP tag to spawn even more intentional aggro on him. Stepping up with a solid stance, the MC gets in the hater's face and asks if he really thinks his stats are better for the job. With a piercing glare, he demands to know exactly where the big veteran was camping last night when the invaders wiped the entire hub. Stunned by the direct callout, the guy widens his eyes and starts sweating bullets, failing to load a quick excuse. Getting even closer to pressure him, Yi Zhang throws in his face that he was the only one who risked his HP to fight the bosses while defending the zone. The MC exposes that the veteran and his squad only spawned after the particle effects cleared, just to cowardly try and steal the MVP credit. The truth bomb completely flips the chat, making the other disciples whisper how disappointed they are with the partner's toxic behavior, and they start siding with the boss's pick. Totally humiliated and out of dialogue options, Zhao draws his weapon and tells the kid to shut up, claiming that in the cultivation meta, respect only comes from raw DPS. Calling the new guy unranked trash, the veteran throws down a 1v1 challenge right there in front of the lobby, where the loser permanently deletes their admin tag. Watching the drama up close, Elder Tianmei flashes a dangerous smile and notes she'd absolutely love to spectate a high yellow match like that. Rating the situation as pathetic, the kid trolls the massive lack of shame of a high-level player trying to open-world PvP a lower-tier guy. But keeping a flawless posture, he confirms that wiping this annoying hater is the only way to carry the squad, hitting, except on the duel without lagging. Exploiting the hype to farm some gold, the MC warns that an official ranked match absolutely needs some premium loot on the line. The veteran flashes a dirty smile and declares that when he wins, he doesn't just want the admin tag, he demands the kid drop his new maid in the trade window too. Hearing the crazy toxic demand, the captive girl gets scared by the disgusting greed of that greedy player. Thirsty for the disciple, Zhao thinks about how op it would be to use a girl with premium stats to buff his own build, ready to trade years of playtime just for that. Flexing his admin aura, the kid steps in front of the girl to body block her, and demands to know what relic the hater will bet to match loot of that tier. Confident in his own carry potential, the guy mocks the kid's bravery, highly doubting he has any mathematical chance of walking out of this lobby with a win. Keeping a straight face against the trash talk, the MC just crosses his arms and tells the enemy to open his eyes for the patch notes. Instantly, the hater pulls out a small rustic cauldron that glows with dense mana, promising to drop the item if he somehow magically loses the duel. Right then, the blue system UI drops a silent ping in the kid's HUD, spotting a mystic relic that perfectly matches his build's requirements. The screen dumps the stats of that cauldron and asks if the user wants to cast his new exclusive skill to absorb the item and steal its rare passives. Super hyped about the new feature, Yi Zhang celebrates privately that the arrogant enemy just hand-delivered the exact best-in-slot item on a silver platter. Flexing the item proudly, The guy swears it's an ultra-rare tool grinded with max effort by their old master. Wasting zero time, the kid locks in the trade instantly, but warns that just typing in chat isn't enough proof for a hardcore ranked match. Turning to the curious mob, he raises his voice asking all his guildmates to act as server logs for this bet involving mod tags and heavy loot. The hype takes over the zone, with disciples calling the kid insane for risking a premium hostage against a veteran so sweaty at PvP. Watching the bold play, Elder Tianmei figures the guy knows exactly how to farm gold and decides to camp, and see what cards he's gonna play in the arena. Furious at the MC's poker face, the girl clenches her fists and flames him for being a scammer, treating her like generic currency. She curses her own RNG, convinced the MC doesn't care at all if she survives or gets a dark ending in the hands of that disgusting veteran. With the lobby going crazy, the betting NPCs start shouting the match odds, offering a massive payout for anyone brave enough to bet on the noob's win. Convinced the veteran will one-shot the kid in seconds, multiple players drop their weapons and sold gems on the floor, locking all-in bets on the favorite. Pushing the spammers out of the way without typing a word in chat, the fort leader walks up to the trade window with firm boss steps. Sweating bullets from the boss's heavy aura, the gold manager tries to defend himself, saying they are just playing a minigame to chill out. Ignoring the minions' panic, the woman opens her hand and dumps a massive stack of glowing, ultra-premium gems straight into the collection pot. Flexing infinite wealth, she drops 200 high-tier gems on the table and announces loudly that her entire bank is going on Yi Zheng's win. The weird flex leaves everyone stunned, and the bookie asks if the big boss accidentally misclicked the names, reminding her of the brutal level gap between them. Trading a look of pure co-op synergy with the MC from afar, she warns him in a threatening tone to make sure she doesn't lose a single coin on this carry. On the other side of the room, the veterans party whispers that the boss's move was a deliberate grief just to tilt him. Taken over by deep salt from the rejection, Zhao clenches his fists and swears hell permanently corrupt the kid's save file to prove his own rank. Stepping into the middle of the makeshift arena, the MC hovers slightly in the air and gives the opponent one last warning to check his gear. Hijacked by blind rage, the veteran pops a red aura around his model and orders the kid to kneel and drop all his loot if he wants to log out alive. With total neutral energy, the MC trolls, asking if the guy forgot to brush his teeth this morning to be spitting such garbage and polluting the server. The perfectly timed taunt hits the limit, forcing the opponent to explode in salt and dash forward, shattering the floor polygons under his feet with the brutal launch. Spotting the lethal push, the kid channels his own dark mana into his arms and locks into a flawless combat stance. The veteran readies his main nuke skill, aiming to delete the opponent with a single massive hit straight to the chest hitbox. In the last frame before the collision, the MC spawns his terrifying red blade in a flash of light that blinds the spectators in the zone. With an incredibly smooth animation without backing up a single pixel, Yi Zheng uses the new sword to perfectly parry the veteran's insane damage, sending a boom through the lobby. Seeing the perfect block, the disciples are amazed the kid tanked an attack of that tier, but they quickly guess the noob only pulled it off because he's using a super broken pay-to-win relic. Veteran Zhao overclocks his purple aura, admitting he underestimated the opponent. Confident, he warns that first strike was just a basic warm-up before the real ranked match starts. Wasting zero time, the enemy pops a dark clone skill. Instantly, multiple purple energy bots surround the MC from every angle. Going full aggro, the clones rush in furiously, ordering the kid to get wiped from the server once and for all. Exploiting his superior agility stat, Yi Zheng dodges and parries the spam of attacks with extreme chill, keeping a flawless posture against the gank. Finding the useless tryharding funny, the MC trolls in all chat. He states that with that nerfed DPS, the opponent could never zero his HP. In the stands, the crowd gets terrified watching the insane speed of the new spawn. Panic hits hard for those who went all in on the veteran, scared they're gonna lose their entire stash. Tilted by the endless dodges, Zhao clenches his teeth and warns the kid not to get cocky, claiming that having a higher movement speed won't buff his defense forever. Slamming his hands hard onto the arena floor, the opponent casts a massive crowd control array based on the wood element. A giant green light frame spawns from the ground, shooting dozens of roots and magic binds straight at the kid standing AFK in the center. Seeing the magic rushing in fast, the guy just watches as the vines start glitching onto his legs. With a lightning-fast and lethal swing of his crimson blade, he slices the green binds easily, freeing his avatar from the trap in one frame. Convinced he caught the prey, the veteran laughs like a troll. He explains that the more the target tries to mash out of that array, the tighter the CC gets, plus it slowly drains all their mana. Flexing the purple clones and the active roots, Zhao arrogantly declares this is the unskippable bad ending for anyone who dares to block his path. Watching the match from a distance next to the prisoner, Elder Tianmei gets a bit impatient. She mumbles, wondering why Yi Zhang still hasn't thrown a decent counterattack. Getting wrapped up by the plant magic, the MC realizes the setup is perfect. He calculates internally how the enemy's array perfectly synergizes with his own exclusive cultivation build. Without pressing a single movement key, the sheer presence of the kid's aura makes the magic binds completely despawn into the radiating an epic green glow. The MC stands tall in the middle of the lobby, shattering the opponent's entire CC spell in one go. Pushing the offensive with his crimson sword, Yi Zhang launches a devastating bloody slash that wipes all the purple clones and hits the veteran dead on. In absolute shock, the opponent backs up without processing a thing. He asks himself how it's mathematically possible for the new kid to wipe his main trap and the illusions with a single animation. Dripping with sarcasm, the MC drops a thanks for the partner's massive assist. He reveals that the mana leached from that trap just gave him enough XP to hit another full-level cap. Hijacked by humiliation, Zhao grabs his tiny premium cauldron and swears the kid forced him to use a forbidden strat, popping the relic's max power. An intense red energy explosion takes over the arena. The crowd panics when they realize the dangerous hack just temporarily buffed the veteran to golden core stats. Far from feeling fear, the MC rocks a tactical look, confirming that massive stat boost was exactly the RNG he was camping for since the match started. Casting his ultimate structuring and nature drain art, Yi Zhang commands his magic to devour all the raw mana available. Covered in a dark aura, the enraged enemy calls the kid trash and tells him to watch the kill cam closely. Charging up a devastating nuke with his hand glowing bright, Zhao brags that this is the true unbeatable DPS of a high-tier player. With a brutal animation, the veteran launches a colossal red energy palm that clips through space, ripping up the arena floor straight toward the target. The shockwave's recoil is so heavy that the force pushes the spectators far away, leaving everyone terrified as they can barely keep their character models standing. Staring down the incoming wall of damage, the kid just adjusts his stance super chill and notes the attack timing was absolutely perfect. Expanding his infinite green structuring aura, the MC dashes without hesitation to tank the frontal nuke, using his own buff to overwrite the opponent's code. Instead of blowing up, the massive red energy palm gets completely absorbed and deleted by the kid's green magic right in the middle of its path. Watching his strongest ultimate vanish into thin air, the veteran panics, asking how a glitch like that is even possible. The mana drain collision is so hardcore that the enemy's tiny mystic cauldron starts rendering cracks, losing all its glow in one frame. Feeling his own arm get debugged, Zhao screams in salt. He refuses to accept his premium mana is getting leached by a mid-tier opponent he thought was a total noob. Completely mind-blown by how ruthless the skill is, the man asks how the kid had the guts to equip such a dark, life-stealing art. Calling the opponent a stupid bot with a straight face, Yi Zhang dashes in fast and grabs the guy's shoulder to speed up the mana drain. With his screen fading to black, the veteran finally realizes the obvious meta, remembering way too late that their guild is literally famous for using toxic, evil strats. Using the green magic with total admin rights, the MC lifts the opponent into the air, ruthlessly vamping the last drop of his HP bar in front of everyone. Up in the stands, the shock is server-wide. The fighters whisper in awe, guessing the kid definitely used a skin to hide his real stats, since bypassing a level gap like that breaks the game's logic. With zero mana left to maintain its durability, the loser's prized cauldron drops to the floor and shatters into useless polygons. Flexing maximum troll energy, the MC mocks the situation, warning his partner that his highly valued bet just turned into literal junk. Completely drained of HP and terrified of the incoming game over, Zhao tries to bargain for his life, begging and promising to trade all his clan's premium gold. The kid stares down the defeated player with an ice-cold look, declining the trade request with a super sarcastic sorry. Charging the final hit to close out the match, the MC warns him super calmly that after he gets sent to the lobby, all that loot will automatically transfer to his inventory anyway. With a heavy critical strike, the veteran's zero stamina model gets launched out of the ring, crashing hard near the other disciples. Standing alone in the wrecked arena, the MC hears the official system voice echo through the lobby, confirming his flawless victory in the duel. The crowd spams the chat hyping up the kid's insane DPS, with tons of players agreeing he 100% deserves the admin tag, while others shake in fear, worried about catching a ban for trash-talking him earlier. Sticking to the script, Elder Tianmei steps up flexing her boss aura, announcing that, according to the duel's rules, the new spawn is now officially the head admin of the hub. Sweeping her camera threateningly across the muted mob, the leader asks if anyone else has the guts to click the report button, only getting scared headshakes in return. Handing over the admin badge to the kid, the warrior makes the rank up official, confirming that from this frame forward, he is the new Grand Master of the Alchemy Zone. Faking massive gratitude for the upvotes, Yizheng bows politely and promises to clear all his dailies to restore the zone server rep. Watching the GG screen from a distance, the captive disciple figures the guy looked like he had a 100% win rate calculated when he used her as the prize pool. Feeling a bit cringe about her own thoughts, Lanjai starts questioning privately if the toxic review she left on his character earlier was actually a bad read. Instantly, the UI pops up confirming the girl's reform meter hits 70%, making the MC celebrate mentally that he's this close to fully hacking the hostage's loyalty. With the event over, the bet manager walks up shaking in fear to hand over the massive pile of gold the leader just farmed. Resting her hand on her hip, Tiame tells the sweaty NPC not to forget to mail the rest of the profits straight to her inbox tomorrow, getting a desperate yes from the guy. Walking side by side through the lobby, the woman praises the kid for carrying her to a huge payout, and he bounces the compliment back, saying she just made a big brain read. Exploiting the close hitbox, the boss bumps the kid's shoulder teasingly, whispering she's gonna drop some very exclusive loot for him tonight. Logging off with a super flirty emote, the elder leaves saying they'll team up later, while the prisoner Lanjai just drops a salty jealousy noise in the background. Night drops over the boss's luxury base, but the quiet gets broken by whispers coming from inside the room demanding the troll stop his spam. Leaning over the girl on the mattress, Yizheng holds her face gently and asks sarcastically if she already gave up on grinding her lost mana back so fast. Wrapping herself in the sheet totally embarrassed, Lanjai tries to justify to herself that she's only playing this cringe minigame to farm stats and tank for her master. Dropping the troll act, the guy thinks darkly about his misplays, knowing that if the veteran's magic wasn't perfectly compatible with his, he would have caught a massive L in the duel. Determined not to get stat checked again, he figures he needs to pop every consumable available to power level his build, right when the room's heavy wooden door flies open out of nowhere. Pushing into the room, Elder Tianmei drops a toxic laugh, asking why the new hub admin is still using such a basic tutorial method to grind. The jump scare makes the girl let out a scream of panic on the bed. Fixing his posture on the mattress fast, the kid is super shocked by the woman's random spawn and asks what she's doing there at this hour. Flexing pure mischief, the boss jokes, asking if he already forgot she promised a very exclusive late-night drop, leaving the kid totally confused about her real quest line. Skipping all the intro dialogue, the warrior starts unequipping her official uniform, making her intentions for the night crystal clear. Showing off a god-tier model in the low light, Tianmei steps up teasingly, announcing she's gonna share a legendary monosync strat for cultivation. Far away from there in the isolated zone of the tech system, the sound of dragging chains echoes through the dark jail map. Pinned to the wall geometry, the Grand Leader by Ningbing hears the audio feed from outside and burns with pure salt, flaming all of them for daring to disrespect her by forcing her to listen to that cursed chat. When the skybox finally loads the sun, the two warriors are still resting with zero stamina on the bed, while the MC is completely focused on his spiritual AFK grind on the floor. Radiating a heavy green aura, he opens his eyes super hyped, noticing the new tech he downloaded gave him a buff way past his expectations. Overflowing with mana after hitting the new cap, the main character leaves the base and walks through the fort's long hallways, ready to equip his permanent admin title. First thing in the morning, the system drops a ping warning Yizheng that someone nearby has a massive aggro level locked onto him. Right then, a good-looking woman spawns at the door holding a breakfast tray and addresses him as the hub commander with a super respectful emote. Walking into the room, she explains she crafted the meal specifically for him to celebrate his new rank. Dropping a low-key smile, the MC wonders privately if this is the NPC the danger ping was warning him about. The blue UI instantly dumps Cayenne Feiyu's data, showing she used to exploit her half-brother Zhao Qi's admin status to grief low-level players. Checking that her rage meter is at 50%, he perfectly decodes the reason for the salt since he just wiped her brother's account. The guy then asks if everyone on this server is always this polite, and she replies looking down that she only wants to play pure support for the new master. Picking up one of the snacks from the tray, he asks casually if she crafted those sweets herself. Sweating bullets and avoiding eye contact, the girl stutters, faking that she just looted the food from the cafeteria because it looked like high-tier consumables. Instantly, the system flags that the sweet is packed with a lethal plant debuff that can send a player to the game over screen in 15 minutes. At that exact frame, Xiao Lanjai wakes up on the bed, rubbing her eyes lazily after the heavy co-op session they ran last night. Flexing her curves in a risky uniform, she trolls him, asking how he has the guts to complain about her waking up with high ping. Reading the perfect timing, Yizheng invites the girl to join the party and taste test the sweets the new disciple dropped off. Celebrating internally, he figures Lanjai's mystic passive will identify the poison instantly, helping to push the new girl's aggro to the absolute max. Grabbing the food without suspecting a trap, Lanjai sniffs it and realizes in shock that the item is coated with a lethal toxin. Staring at the food, Lanjai quickly calculates if the MC catching a permaban would actually be the perfect exploit to break her out of this lock. However, she decides to act and flames the new girl with max fury, demanding to know if she was the one who delivered these poison trap items. Pinning the disciple against the desk, Lanjai orders the woman to eat her own trap since she had the nerve to drop it there. Shoving the sweet right up to the guilty girl's face, she asks in a threatening tone why she's suddenly refusing to open her mouth for a taste test. Absolutely terrified and sweating buckets, Cayenne Feiyu stutters without being able to form a single line of dialogue while holding the dangerous consumable. The UI quickly notifies that Lanjai's reform bar jumped to 80%, making the MC flash a winner's smirk knowing he's this close to fully hacking the girl. As a reward for this progress, the system drops an upgrade for his mystic avatar, maxing out his wood element affinity. Using his new hidden buff, Yi Zhang steps between them asking everyone to chill, pretending he fully trusts the jealous disciple's fake lore. Leaving both women completely mind-blown, he takes a bite of the poisoned sweet in broad daylight without showing a single pixel of panic. Grabbing his outfit in pure panic, Lanjai calls him an absolute madman and warns him desperately that he's gonna literally catch a game over from eating that. With tears in her eyes, the maid asks what's gonna happen to her save file if he just logs out permanently in such a stupid way. Faking a debuff, the guy complains his HP feels bloated, making the new girl celebrate mentally, convinced her strat actually worked. Suddenly, a colossal green aura explodes from his model, and the kid shouts that his mana is overflowing for a massive level up. Radiating an op energy, the UI confirms he just broke through to the 7th stage of foundation building. Unable to believe the glitch, Feiyu hears the master drop a sarcastic thanks for the snack helping him power level his stats. Flexing his bright green aura, the MC reveals his new build renders any poison of that type completely useless. The new girl shakes in terror when the master says he's super happy with the loot, deciding to tag her as his personal maid from now on. Holding the girl firmly, he whispers right next to her ear that the new job description includes sharing a bed with him. Tapping her boldly, the kid orders her to go ping every single player in the hub immediately for a major server announcement. The system drops a notification that Feiyu's salt level hit 60%, still needing a bit more grind before the tech capture unlocks. Watching the woman run away scared through the lobby, Yi Zhang smirks toxically, planning to make her his next target for a full system format. Elder Tianmei spawns at the door wearing a skin-tight uniform, joking about his high APM so early in the morning. Petting the leader's face, he asks if she's getting jealous and clarifies the disciple just tried to drop a poison debuff on him. Scanning the plate on the desk, the warrior comments that the girl's strats were a bit too direct and super noobish. Turning her back to leave, Tianmei warns that he has full admin rights to patch out this minor bug solo. Flashing a charming smile, the boss advises the kid to flex all his ruthless stats in public to CC the whole squad at once. Rocking a Dominator look, the MC promises hell make it crystal clear to the entire lobby exactly who holds the ban hammer in this zone now. A little bit later, the massive main alchemy hall is already completely packed with students waiting for the patch notes. The members whisper insult about the new spawn trying to drop penalties, reminding each other that the aggro from veteran Zhao's wipe hasn't cooled down yet. The spam chat stops instantly when Yi Zhang walks into the room radiating a crushing aura, muting everyone's mic on the spot. Walking to the center of the zone surrounded by the giant forges, the new leader asks directly if everyone has loaded into the lobby. He warns that all past griefing got wiped with the old master's game over, promising good RNG if they just run their quests correctly. However, the MC's eyes glow red, as he threatens to drop permabans with zero mercy on anyone who tries to scheme behind his back. The spiritual pressure dropped by the kid is so heavy that the players start sweating bullets, totally stun-locked by fear. Exploiting the silence, he declares that because of the lag caused by the recent raid, everyone here will have to double their crafting quota. Panic spreads fast, with students complaining the new daily quest is way too grindy and won't leave any AFK time for anything else. One of the minions gathers some courage and asks in a troll tone if the new master is just gonna AFK and watch them suffer. Answering the disrespect, multiple heavy forges start floating around the kid, wrapped in green spirit flames. Flexing absolute magic control, the MC claims he'll craft the exact quota required, but it'll only take him 15 minutes to speedrun it. Surrounded by 10 floating cauldrons in the air, he tells the mob of haters to watch the kill cam closely. Clapping his hands into a glowing seal, Yi Zhang warns he's gonna upload the perfect, flawless meta for crafting these potions. Shooting beams of green light, he preheats all the heavy forges in perfect sync with insane balancing. With lightning-fast frame-perfect movements, the MC tosses the stacks of herbs straight into the floating pots without missing a single hitbox. The intense magic makes the metal lids shake violently as the alchemy process runs at a completely broken speed. Watching this crazy glitch, the fighters think it's a hack, since managing 10 cauldrons at once would require a god-tier mana pool. Sweating with anxiety and gripping her clothes, Feiyu declares internally that a craft like this is mathematically impossible. Ignoring the chat's doubts, the master explains the secret isn't raw mana but a deep-dive data read of nature's code. Micromanaging the energy with his fingers, he keeps the flames active and perfectly tuned for each specific plant type. The MC flexes his ego, claiming that inventory management of plants is literally his highest maxed-out skill tree. Locked in on the final phase, he calls out the steps loudly, commanding the liquid to condense and the potion's code to purify. The inside of the forges pulses with a bright light, proving the chemical mix hit perfect RNG with zero bugs. With a massive glowing boom, the lids fly into the sky, revealing dozens of tiny shiny orbs popping out of the metal. The golden items float through the room, radiating a pure, epic-tier energy that hypnotizes everyone in the lobby instantly. Catching the spam of magic items in his palm, Yi Zheng shows off the loot and declares the quest successfully cleared. Smelling the rare scent fill the room, the mob goes into total shock, realizing every single batch dropped with maximum quality stats. Completely mind-blown by the legendary achievement, Lanjai widens her eyes, admiring the flawless elixirs crafted in record time. Watching the MC's unbreakable posture, the maid wonders privately if the guy is a ruthless monster or just an unmatched prodigy. The tech UI pops up silently, logging that the girl's reform meter finally jumped to an insane 90%. Noticing the growing loyalty stat, the guy flashes a villain smirk, celebrating that his first dedicated co-op partner is about to fully unlock. Taking back his boss aura in front of the stunned mob, he stares everyone down, asking if there's still anyone here with the guts to report his gameplay. Completely outplayed by the stat flex, the disciples drop to their knees and swear they are now 100% convinced of the new master's skills. Stuck in the middle of the pack, Cayenne Feiyu lowers her head in total silence, realizing she has zero stats to rival that level of talent. Sweating bullets and shaking in fear, the new girl understands she massively underestimated the kid, and her save file in here could get permanently corrupted. Taking control of the lobby again, Yi Zheng orders the rest of the students to keep grinding the elixir purification, and tells the girl to escort him to the inner VIP room immediately. Walking calmly down the hall, the MC warns with a straight face that she better play perfect support while he goes AFK to rest. Salty about having to take orders in front of the whole server, the disciple flames him mentally, feeling she's being intentionally griefed, which pushes her aggro up to 65% in the system. Watching the feed from afar, leader Huang Tianmei flashes an approving smile and notes privately that her mini-master is running the server like a true pro. Scaling the kid's potential, the elder figures that, with a bit more playtime, he could actually become someone she can genuinely trust her account with. Far away, the map switches to the imposing hidden throne room of the Grand Master, located in the main Hehuan faction fortress. Wrapped in a chaotic storm of red spiritual energy, Supreme Leader Zhao Yaozi is completely tryharding in his solo cultivation grind. Suddenly, the dark energy crashes and the veteran clenches his teeth in pure salt, demanding to know why he still can't break the level cap to the next tier. Dumping his rage, he turns to the hostage Bai Ningbinglok down by Red Magican calls her useless trash. Grabbing the woman by the hair with max toxicity, the leader asks how the mana drain returns can be so garbage even though she holds the title of a Grand Faction Master. Crying from the pain and debuffs, the fake leader begs again, trying to explain she isn't the real Bai Ningbing. But the veteran ignores the excuses and lands a heavy slap on her face, furious that the hostage doesn't have the guts to confirm her own gamertag even in this critical phase. Stepping back, the master realizes he urgently needs to power level his stats, refusing to take an L against the veterans of the rival guild. Determined to find an exploit, he pings Ruyan, and instantly one of his most loyal NPCs spawns, confirming her arrival. Rocking a dark look, the leader orders the disciple to tell Huang Tianmei to fast travel back to the main fort in a maximum of 3 days for a highly classified co-op mission. Without questioning the boss's quest log, the servant hits accept instantly and runs off to speedrun the task. Isolated in the dark, the boomer flashes a cruel smile, figuring that the elder's unique Fatal Attraction passive is his only viable exploit to farm the X boost he desperately needs. Back at the frontline camp, it's totally quiet in the new Alchemy Master's VIP room. Abusing his new admin perks, Yi Zheng gets a chill back massage and calmly points out where the maid needs to apply more pressure. Noticing the girl's laggy effort, the MC complains about the service, telling her to use more stamina, and trolls her by asking if she forgot to consume her food buffs today. Carrying drinks on a tray right behind them, Zio Lanjai sighs in pure salt, thinking about how this kid is an absolute pro at managing players in the most toxic way possible. Catching the prisoner's thoughts, he turns his camera and suggests they swap slots so Lanjai can do the massage, forcing the girl to back up scared and reject the party invite on the spot. Turning his focus back to the new girl, the MC lifts her face with a troll look and praises her good work, admitting he's already tempted to turn her into his exclusive farming item. Clenching her teeth on mute, Kayan Feiyu promises herself that next time she gets a window, she'll use a much higher tier poison to permanently wipe his save file. The tech UI instantly pings that the girl's aggro hits 70%, making the kid flash a winner's smile because he's this close to fully hacking her. The chill vibe gets instantly cancelled when the wooden door flies open out of nowhere, revealing Elder Tianmei looking super rushed. Sitting on the bed, the MC hasn't processed the breach yet, and asks why the leader spawned like that without sending a single DM first. Skipping the details, the warrior grabs the kid's arm with massive urgency and orders him to follow her, leaving the guy totally confused about the waypoint. With a dark, stressed look, she reveals that the Grand Supreme Master just dropped a quest demanding her instant return to the main fort within exactly 3 days.